Welcome back to Crossthreaded, the only no filter podcast out there. I'm your host, Eric Nichols, and today we're going to talk some Glendale Supercross. We have a little bit of Triple Crown action. But first, I have two co hosts with me today. They were there, they were live, they were repping the brand, slapping stickers all over the place. First off, CJ, welcome. Hope you had
How's it
fun out in
going?
Glendale.
Oh yeah, Glendale was awesome. It was nice to be there live.
And then with us as well, Justin Reese. How's it going, Justin?
What's up, guys? It was a blast this weekend. We got to see our sponsored rider. We got to talk to Billy. It's cool to see Billy make the main. So I think we all had a good time tailgating. We ran a couple football plays out there, getting ready for the Super Bowl in the parking lot and slamming some beers.
Absolutely. Well, cool guys. Well, let's jump right into it. We talked about the track map at the end of last week's episode. I mean, the track ended up being awesome. The start worked out. I thought, from what I was hearing, some of the riders hated the track. I mean, I heard there was multiple bent axles, parts getting bent, broken all over the place. But man, this track definitely has stuff that was going to separate the fast guys from the slower guys. CJ, what stood out to you with this track map?
Yeah, I think some of the complaints probably came from their multiple singles that just dropped you from a six-story building.
Yeah.
It was kind of crazy. The one before the finish line that those guys, I meing, those guys were sending that thing almost all the way into the lip of the finish line and just slamming. I can imagine even with a kit factory suspension that couldn't be ideal. But otherwise, I thought the track was badass. I thought it was the best track that we've seen this year so far. I thought the start was interesting, but it actually worked out pretty good. It was kind of weird to have the whole shot line after like multiple turns. I thought that was a little bit interesting, but it was cool. It worked out, and I thought it was cool that there was several option lines that were like equally competitive. Normally, they do those option lines, and it seems like one of them turns into being way faster, and everyone just uses that single line. But like before the whoops, there was an inside outside that the guys were using. There were some different lines through the sand that the guys were using. There were some different rhythms that multiple guys were using that all seemed to be kind of similar paced, and I thought that was cool. It made for a lot of different lines, a lot of different passing scenarios, and I don't know. I thought the track was badass this week.
Yeah, and Justin, even some of the lines, like there was that huge triple over the finish line. There was the quad after the finish line. That a lot of these before, if the guys kind of clip the rhythm before, they could still send it. A lot of these bigger ones, if they clipped, they're like, nope, they were bailing right away. So they had to be perfect in order to nail these big rhythms.
Yeah, it definitely looked like stuff was a little bit peaked up a little bit. So they had to be like it was a technical track, even though there was a lot of options. I think if you look at both the football stadiums we've been in this year, it's provided the best racing. I think maybe we need to stick to maybe more base or more football fields. I think they're just a little bit bigger floor plan, allows for better passing, better, longer rhythm sections. I think that triple across the start, it allowed for a lot of different options. I think they should have maybe instead of taking out that roller before the finish, after they did, I think after first practice, they should have maybe just made that a big double instead. So then it would keep all these guys from blowing out rear wheels, bending axles and stuff like that. But it was sick to see all kinds of different options, even right in front of where we were sitting. We were right there by that whole shot. There was some guys tripling that before the finish. Some were wheel tapping, triple double, and everything was pretty even. It was just who could be the smoothest and hit everything, hit their marks right.
Yeah, I think one thing that we've seen already quite a bit, with these tracks is there's a lot of going back and forth across the start straight, and I think that's allowing them to put more of these 180 turns, especially in these football stadiums, rather than just a bunch of 90s. But yeah, I mean, you guys made great points. The sand, ended up being good, had a few different options too. Um, I heard that the track guys, they didn't even think that triple across the start was even going to be in play. So it's funny how these track builders, they build this stuff not thinking that these riders are going to huck this stuff and then they end up hucking it anyways. It almost makes you think like maybe they should hire on like an ex-pro to go out there and kind of let them know like, hey, this is definitely going to do doable. Like if you're not wanting to jump it, then you need to knock this down or something. But it seems to happen every week to where They try to take some out, like they took out that hump before the finish line because they didn't want them jumping it and doubling it anyway, so there's some getting landed on. But they take it away and they're still doing it anyway. So it's like, well, all right, maybe that wasn't the right idea. Maybe you should have tried something else. So, but
I
no,
did see like towards that last main, I think it was that last main, a couple of them really started before the finish instead of hucking it. They were stopping and just rolling over the wall to get a better drive. So maybe at the end of that race it broke down enough to where it wasn't faster really to launch that or to take the risk.
yeah, who knows? I mean, landing like flat like that, it's got to, kind of put some wear and tear on these guys too, especially when they're going out there and doing it for 12 minutes, three different times, and the track's just getting rougher and rougher every time. Um, let's jump into the qualifying. Juju was on top of the qualifying. He looked great. I mean, he was squirrely at first, but then he really put in some heaters. He's the only one in the 59-second range in the 250s. And then 450, once again, a lot of back and forth, but Jett ends up laying down the two fastest lap times. But Justin, these qualifying sessions are must-see TV.
Yeah, it seems like the last few years it hasn't been that interesting, but this year the qualifying's been just as good as some of these races. I mean, the 250 guys, Deegan and Beaumer, just going back and forth. Beaumer's fast lap time, if you watched it in person, he was flying, but hey, I didn't think it was that quick. It didn't look like he was that much faster in that qualifying lap. When I saw the time, I was like, holy shit, that was fast. And then the 450, I mean, those top three guys, Jett, Tomac, Sexton, they've been battling all year. Jett, I mean, he blew everyone away in qualifying this week. He had the three fastest lap times overall. No one was really close to him in qualifying at all.
Yeah. And then see, there's a lot of talk, should there be any points awarded to being the fastest qualifier?
No, I mean, I don't think so. I mean, it's good. It's track time. It's practice. I get it. I think it's cool. But I mean, there's so many variables. We saw it multiple times where, like Juju, I mean, he literally got one clean lap at the end. Otherwise, he wouldn't. I mean, he would have been a second and a half off the time. I mean, he tried multiple times and then he washed out in practice. He got stuck behind some guys. I saw him mess up some rhythms and he just started rolling when he was on a heater. And then finally, he kind of waited before the finish line, gave himself a gap, and he was like, it was crunch time. He either was going to put in a fast lap or he was going to mess it up, and he was going to be way off the time. And he was able to put one in, but we see that multiple times. I mean, you see whether it's people pulling off the track in front of people or someone falling down, or I don't know. I mean, I don't think points should be awarded. I do think that like it is a factor, and these guys are kind of playing more into it this year than they have been in the past. But I think everyone wants to be on top of the box and everyone wants to feel that confidence going into the night. But you see guys like, I mean, you see the guys like Cooper Webb and Eli that
Hmm.
aren't really fast qualifiers regularly, and it doesn't really matter. They come showtime. I mean, Ken Roxon and I mean, Ken ended up winning one. Cooper ended up winning one. I think Cooper qualified like ninth or something like that. Like it
Third.
wasn't even.
Cooper Webb was third fastest qualifier.
Cooper was quick
Oh,
this
was he?
weekend.
Or Kenny?
Yeah.
Somebody was way back and ended up winning one.
Yep.
Um, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know that there should be points awarded. I do think it's cool that they're taking it serious and they're kind of like, they want to put in that fast lap time. It's making for good TV, like you said. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's been interesting. It's been fun to watch. I think there's just too many variables. If they were
Yeah.
gonna do something like that, I think they got to give them they got to do like a pole position type deal, like in arena cross, where they just send them out there as the only guy on the track or something.
Yeah, I mean, I think if they ever are gonna do a point, I think they gotta limit the field of guys that are out there. I mean, if you're
Yeah.
gonna have the top guys, like the top 15 in points or top 10 in points, need to be out there and have the track to themselves. But having them out there with 20 plus guys and guys that are barely like making the mains, are just getting in the way. So I agree. If they ever did start awarding points, they gotta minimize that field. Um, but yeah, Super Bowl keeps getting thrown out a few times. WSX had it too. To me, I don't know. I think it's just kind of weird. You're just sitting there watch one guy do and just kind of blitz and you have five guys go. And I don't know. To me, I just I don't see the excitement when it comes to, just one guy out there putting in a heater, Justin. I think you're a pretty big fan of Super Bowl and would like to see it.
Yeah, I think the Super Bowl is pretty cool. The way they do it, like across in Europe, I mean, it's like one after another. Right when a guy's pretty much crossing the finish line, the other guy's coming up right behind him. I think it's just cool because it just gives us more time to see the top guys. I mean, if we don't do that, I'd almost rather see more triple crowns. I mean, I think triple crowns are the pinnacle of our races. They have to get 3 starts. It proves who the best guy is that night. You have to be consistent. These heat races we see every week at regular races, you're only seeing half the field. I'd much rather see 3 12 minutes of the best guys against each other instead of having to watch a 6 minute heat race of like you were complaining at A2, Tomac versus Webb, and then nobody's.
Hmm.
So I'd rather see if we're gonna have these guys at track time at a night show, let's make it a triple crown. I mean, we got all day during Saturday to do all this qualifying. They do the LCQs still. If you really want to watch the LCQ, you can still be there. It's not like you're missing any more racing. It's just more track time for the best of the best.
Yeah, I like the format. I still think race three majority of the time ends up. I mean, this weekend it did make a big difference in the 250 class, but I still think if you knock it down to just 2 minutes, I love the LCQ format to where it's just 40 guys on the gate. They got to try to make it count. It puts a lot more emphasis on the qualifying too. Knowing that you're just going to go straight to the LCQ. You're not going to have a chance in a heat, but yeah, the Triple Crowns. They're always great races. They're always exciting and this one was nothing short of it. Um, Before we get into the racing and the gate drops, who do we have as the best kit nominations for Glendale? Justin, we'll start with you.
I think Wed's kit, that blue kit was sick. I'd have to say his kit was definitely my favorite for lit kit. I got a nomination for shit kit. It's gonna be Bo Mares.
Yeah.
2 in the pink, 1 in the stank, whatever you want to call it. I saw a bunch of people talking shit on it. It was just butt cheeks. I know one buddy, he told me he loved it, but I don't know why he would say that. I
I have
think
an
most of the
idea who
people
that
didn't
buddy
like it.
was.
Oh, actually, it's none of our friends in our group chat. It
Oh,
was
okay.
actually our buddy Andy. Andy said he loved it. I just
Uh,
couldn't get behind it. If you're gonna do a pink like that, go pink all the way.
I,
Or the
I
different
just
color pants, even go black pants. But that brown pants looks like you smeared your ass on a fucking pair of pants.
it looked like a
Yeah,
vet rider that like didn't have any clean gear, so he grabbed one jersey of one and bought pants of the other one, just went there. CJ, what about you? Do you have any other best kit nominations, or did Webb do it for you?
I thought Mookie's. I like Mookie's gear.
Yeah.
I think he's running that like white stuff. He had some different colors thrown in there with it this week, but I thought Mookie's kit looked good. He has looked good all year. I agree. I thought Juju's looked terrible when I first saw it. I thought I mean, it almost looked like a joke. I mean, it was like the one industries like ran out of designs and they just like found some old faded shit or I don't know.
Yeah.
I thought it looked terrible. It didn't even look like it was the right color or something. It was
No.
washed out. Yeah, it was terrible. His helmet was badass. He had that jet ski with the like that Canadian meme guy on the back of it. That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, that
yeah,
was
the
funny.
gear looked terrible, I thought.
Yeah, I'm with you. I like Webb's. Dude, you give me a solid color head to toe, that shit's gonna look fire no matter what. I mean, we had
Yeah.
Tomac last week, all red, looks so sick. Yamaha, all blue on that Yamaha. The matte helmet was sick. Um, Even like you said, Malcolm Stewart, that gear was cool. We saw that earlier on like a kid was wearing it, but he had the helmet that matched it perfectly too. And that's the only thing he was missing was the helmet. But it was cool. It had like I don't know, like a cartoon kind of design to it, almost like action figure, but yeah,
Yeah.
no, definitely some really cool gear out there, and yeah, I think everyone, majority of people think that one industry's had such a fire kid at A2, and they come out with this, and they're just like, wow, we missed the ball on that one for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Hey, that kid was Dylan Graham. That's who it was. He's got that melon sponsorship too.
oh
So
yeah,
maybe if we shout him out right here, maybe we could throw some hats our way. Maybe some get the
Yeah.
cross-threaded melon hats would be
Some
sick.
$90 melon hats. Yeah.
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 No, I
And
saw that
speaking,
I saw that kid's kit though. It was posted online. Everyone was sharing it, and that looked really like even the lettering and everything he had on his name and the number style looked badass.
yeah, yeah, it was super clean. And speaking of kids, there's the kid that did the Team Dunlop. I can't remember what his name was, but just straight out called out Deegan for running his mouth, big juju. And I was like, oh my God. I was like, Dunlop and the freaking race day live was not expecting that from that kid, but hey, we're here for it, right? Deegan's gonna get it back from, a few different areas. Um, but All right, going into LCQs, like I said, LCQs are always great. Jumping into the 250s, it was cool. You know, our new fan, Billy Laninovich. I know you guys got to go see him in the pitch. He was stoked on the clip that we had. So awesome to see him make this main event, Justin. And I mean, in the Triple Crown LCQ, I mean, it doesn't get more tougher than that. And he just went out there, he delivered, and he made it happen.
Yeah, it was really cool to see him make the main, especially after we talked about him last week. We're all bummed he didn't make it at A2. We posted that clip and he wanted to share it, but we may have said some bad words in it. But we went and saw him, took a picture with him, and yeah, it was just cool. He broke down the track. He talked to us about it a little bit. Really cool, really humble. He said he felt good even after free practice and everything. So it was cool to see him make the main. Maybe we're his good luck charm. Maybe because we
Yeah.
brought it up last
Yep.
week. Maybe he had in the back of his head, he's like, I can't have a life alert actually send me a sponsorship if I don't make it this week. So it was really cool to see him, and even threw out something. Maybe we should get him on the pod. So maybe we got to make that work one of these weeks. Get him on, maybe on an off week.
Yeah, no,
Yeah, no, it
absolutely. He said
was
he was down.
Yeah, it was super cool to talk to him. Him, even his mechanic was really cool. He was super down to earth, willing to chat with us, telling us about the track. He totally knew who we were and what the podcast was about. I did see that he brought back his old school two different unmatching gloves and put it in the main, so that was cool. So hopefully the old man keeps tearing it up and puts that bike in the main here a few more times this year.
Yeah, and it's funny, I listened to one of Mathis' show, his race recap, and Nicoletti was on there, and his thing that closed it out was like, if you're a 20-year-old and you're getting beat by a 41-year-old to make the night show, what are you doing? Like maybe
Yeah,
this isn't the sport for you.
yeah,
Like at that point, like what exactly are you doing with this? I know, Billy Laninovich was awesome, back in his day, he won supercrosses, but I mean 41 years old, I mean it ain't no joke. And if you're getting beat by him and you're in your 20s trying to make something happen, maybe it's time to go to go find a day job.
yeah.
Um, but speaking of guys that missed it, Enzo Lopes once again just flops. I mean, this has been a disaster start for him. And yes, I don't really know what we're going to expect. 2 weeks off, he probably needs it more than anything, but just really ugly start to the season.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, he's obviously shown his glimpses of being a hell of a rider, so I don't know what he's got going on. I don't know if he fell. I didn't really we didn't really watch the LCQ. We went out and did some barbecuing and tailgating, so we missed the LCQ portion. I don't know exactly what happened there, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's surprising. Obviously, you think that his name coming into the season, I think all of us would have said, he could have been a competitor. I don't know if we thought that he was going to be winning, but I definitely thought that he was going to be on the box, not struggling to make the night show. So interesting for sure.
Yeah, I think with Enzo, it almost makes me think like, yeah, World Supercross kind of went okay with him. He hasn't had much time on the bike, it seems like. He kind of came to this Bar X, it's Bar X Yamaha, right? That he's on.
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, yeah, he kind of came on that a little late. I'm kind of surprised it took a while to develop, and I
But I
don't
mean,
think he
he's
got on
used
the
to the
bike
Yamaha. I
until
mean,
yeah, but with that nerve issue in his hand, he raced MX Nations, only three Supercross races in World Supercross. I'm just wondering if he's kind of just building that base kind of back, getting maybe he's not completely comfortable testing it, on a true American Supercross built to that
yeah.
spec. So maybe it's just kind of, some building blocks, kind of like how Tomac last year coming off that Achilles, the first 6, 7 rounds were not good for Tomac. So maybe just Lopes just kind of needs out those gate drops, build that confidence back up. But I was very surprised in qualifying to see him in B qualifying struggling to even top B qualifying.
hmm Yeah, I mean WSX. I mean, it's not really the most stacked field, so it could have been a little bit of fool's gold coming into it. But yeah, these tracks are a lot more gnarly. The speed is a lot faster too, and yeah, I mean he's got 2 weeks to get it figured out. Basically 3 weeks, to get it figured out. Um, as far as the 450 LCQ, the only thing that really stood out to me, Freddie Norn, he went down while he was leading, took a digger. Looks like he dislocated his shoulder. And then unfortunately, the AZ boy Slosser was in the transfer spot with like maybe a lap, maybe half a lap to go, and he ended up losing it. But Justin, to you, anything as far as LCQs that stood out to you that feel like they were pretty mellow?
Like CJ said, we really didn't stay for the LCQs. We were hungry, and they said we had to be back in by 5 in order to get back in the stadium. So we kind of dipped so we could go tailgate. I already spent enough money on beer before even the main event started. So us going out to tailgate and get some food was much needed, I think, for all of us. So we kind of missed the 450 LCQ. I kind of took a peek at the results, but I didn't really focus on it. I didn't even watch it in the when I rewatched races. I didn't even flip on it. So I don't even know who won the LCQ for 450.
All right. Well, before we get into the big names of the sport, this was the first round of the SMX Next that they came out with. I thought this track was going to eat these kids up, but the top guys handled it pretty well. There was a red flag, but CJ Gordon really looked dominant out there. Briggs, we weren't expecting Dayton Briggs to be out there, big
Yeah.
TikTok guy. He held his own, led for a little bit. But what about you? What was your impression of the SMX Next debut?
Landon Gordon, I kind of figured was going to win that race coming into it. I mean, I think he was the guy to beat, and he showed that. He's out there on some Kawasaki team bike. I don't know if it's a pro circuit deal or what he's riding there. I
I think
don't
it's
follow
Team
him.
Green, right?
It's Team Green, yeah, it's
Yeah.
Team Green.
But I mean, he looked like he was comfortable. He looked good on the track. I mean, obviously they don't look like the top 250 guys, but he looks. I mean, he looks like he could have went out and rode the. He wouldn't have been in anybody's way in the main.
Yeah.
And I mean, he looked comfortable. He's hitting all the rhythms. They were all hitting the whoops pretty well. Yeah, it was really cool to see Dayton Briggs. It's shocking. I didn't even know he was racing that, and he was actually leading the race for a couple
Yeah.
turns. And yeah, I saw his bike just kind of familiar from all of his TikTok videos and other things. It seems like he's kind of had some difficulties here and there, so it's cool to see him having some success. And maybe who knows? Looks like he got a pretty cool bike deal to ride. I'm not sure all the details on that, but he was riding a pretty badass setup bike. And I
Yeah.
don't know, maybe he just needs a few things to go his way, get some confidence, and be up there. But yeah, it was cool to see him out there. I think Landon put it to him pretty easily. It didn't seem like he was really pushing too much. The one for me that was kind of a flop, I think you kind of touched on it too, was Dudney. I don't know what the
Yeah.
deal is, but he looked bad. I mean,
Yeah.
he got like? Did he even get top 10?
I don't think so.
Yeah,
I
I don't
can
know what
look,
the
but
deal
yeah,
is,
I
but
don't think it was good at all.
Yeah, I think Star was supposed to have another guy there that Caden Minor or something like that. Another, I mean Dudney was what, former Team Green that they got, and
Yeah,
then
he
that
was a
Minor
ripper too.
was a
yeah,
former Orange Beret rider, and I think he got hurt. So yeah, it started to really do that good for futures. Like TJ said, Landon Gordon. I mean, he looked really impressive. We saw him talking. It looks like he's getting trained by Will Hahn. So it's great to have a Supercross champion in your corner to help you through these. It's a big step for these amateurs to come out to Supercross under the lights in that crowd in front of all those people. So have that champ in your corner at least to help you and walk you through that. And then Briggs, I think Briggs got that ride last minute. I think he got called up like Thursday or something.
Well, I
yeah. It
know
looked
So
he
like he
he
got he
just
couldn't
got
got
ride
the
that.
bike.
hurt. Like I think he got signed to him, then he crashed practicing Supercross, and then he said
Mhm.
that he rode it for 3 days, and they called him like, "Hey, you want to come do it?" So yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, shout out to Briggs. I mean, the kid gets a lot of hate on TikTok. People calling him a poser and shit like that. But I mean, shit, he went out, he qualified for a 450, outdoor, motocross, at Paula, last year, and then goes out, futures, leads a couple laps. I mean, the kid's legit, so props to him. He's only going to get better. But yeah, I mean, I've seen the comments on there, and he just kind of soaks it in and just kind of talks his shit back. But yeah, it was
Yeah,
cool to see him out there.
He seems very humble. I mean, it doesn't look like he gets a lot of help. So I mean, I think all his TikTok videos, that's his support right there. I mean, he's doing whatever he can, to try to make it in the sport. It's cool. Some of his videos, he's breaking down on like how to work on bikes, what he's doing, kind of showing a little bit more behind the scenes. Like, hey, I go through a bike, every something amount of hours, and I have to do this, and I have to rebuild this. So kind of giving a he's kind of doing a little bit better job than Kawasaki Super or Science of Supercross.
Yeah, which I don't actually know if they did one. Now that you brought that, I don't think they did one this week. I don't know. I have to rewatch it and see. But yeah, shout out to him. But all right, so yeah, SMX next, full debut. Got to see some of the next talent. But yeah, it was cool to see them out there. But let's jump into the nitty gritty
Hey,
250 main one.
one
Go ahead.
second. You forgot to mention our rider we sponsored this week.
Yeah, I was gonna get into once we got to the 250 main,
Okay. All right.
shout out to, Braden Spangle. We did sponsor him. He was right on the cusp of qualifying the whole time we were watching him get into the LCQ. Thought he was gonna have the opportunity, he had a little bit of trouble, but yeah, huge shout out to him. We were beyond stoked to sponsor him. You guys got to go out there and talk to him, get to know him a little bit. He slapped our sticker on there and, he tagged us. So, big shout out to him for, showing us the love and support. But, same thing, I think it's always been a bucket list for all of us fans, to have the opportunity to sponsor a rider and just get, recognition out there. And yeah, I thought it was cool. But Sita, yeah, you had the chance, both of you had a chance to talk to him a little bit. How was it?
Yeah, no, it was really cool talking to him. Very, very down to earth, very humble. Seems like a really well behaved kid. It seems like an unfortunate deal. He gave us his side of the story about the A2 fight. And he said, he didn't get fined, but he did get DQ'd for the night. But I mean, he even posted his point of view, like of what was going on. He was on a heater lap. The guy just, I don't know. I don't know if the guy didn't like him or didn't like the way that he went around him in the corner, but kind of threw his bike into him. And yeah, I mean, I'd be pissed too. That's his livelihood. He's trying to make the night show and give himself a chance to put his bike in there to support his sponsors and make some money. And I think these competitors, they let those competitive juices get flowing and somebody does something like that to you, it's just I mean, whatever. They wrestled around. It was cool. He got some exposure.
Yeah.
I saw it everywhere. I saw it on Reddit. I saw it on Vital. I saw it all over the place. People were talking about it. So
Oh
hey, I
yeah.
mean, there's no bad publicity, I don't think. But no, he was super super humble. Seems like he was underneath the privateer paddock. They've got a pretty cool setup over there for the privateer guys, so that seems really cool. Um, yeah, I mean he's a tall kid too. I didn't
Yeah, he's
realize
a
he
big
was.
kid.
Yeah, I didn't realize he was so tall. But yeah, he's
Yep.
a tall. Seems like he's fit. He definitely can rip. We went out and watched him in the qualifying practices, and he's shredding. I mean, he looked good out there for a while. He was actually the fastest qualifier in his practice.
Yep.
Looked really good. I mean, I think it's just a matter of time before we start seeing him in these main events, or at least in these heat races, qualifying for the main events. But yeah, it was awesome. I mean, he's also another one that seems willing to jump on a pod and maybe give us some more insight of behind the scenes and the privateer life and how things like that go. But yeah, super good kid, super cool to see him want to slap our sticker on there and support us and help us get our name out there while we help him get through the races.
Yeah, and Justin, that's kind of our MO right now, right? We want to help out, these riders that, the privateers, anything that we can, throw them some cash, for them to represent us. And it was cool. I'm excited to find out, find a couple other riders, to, reach out to. I think we might have one lined up for Arlington, already. Of course, we got to be there to do it, but yeah, I mean, Spangle is definitely, someone that I'll be keeping my eye on, for the rest of the season, just to see how he does.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
cool to make those relationships too, like I feel like we kind of have a that's just another connection that we kind of have in the industry that, I feel like we can reach out to him, ask him questions, he can, whatever, ask us some stuff, maybe we can help him get some more exposure too, but it's kind of cool to make those relationships and those connections and friendships in the industry and just, hopefully keep growing.
Yeah, it was really cool to meet him. Really cool, like TJ said, really down to earth kid. He is tall. He is tall, skinny, but he was ripping, and his bike was sick. He's got
Yeah.
like that metallic graphics, kind of like how Kenny has that. Dude, it was sick, and honestly, his gear was pretty tight. It kind of flowed really well with his bike, and he was ripping. We're all hyped during qualifying, hoping he made it. And like CJ said, he was the top of his qualifying for a while. He just barely missed it. And yeah, it'd be cool to see what we can do, help out some other people. It'd be sick to get him on the podcast and talk to him more.
Yeah, and if one thing, this weekend showed, between, Billy Laninovich and Spangle is that most of these riders are really cool guys. Like we're a brand new podcast. We don't really have much going on, but I mean, they're more than welcome to hear us out, support us, talk to us, give us props. I just think it comes to show. I know there's a lot of, digging, a lot of ego that looks like it's in the sport, but I would say majority of the time these guys are really cool, down the earth, and they do a gnarly sport that they're putting their life on the line every time they go out there, even at Spangle's level, fighting to get into those main events. But I mean, you see how fast these guys are, and they still have a hard time making those main events. It just shows how talented these guys are, and it's just cool when they have a cool personality and they're down to earth, in person when you have the chance to meet them too.
That's the other thing too, just real quick. That's the other thing too. I think that some people like maybe that don't follow the sport as closely, just kind of show up to maybe one Supercross when it's in their town or something. Is like they, from the stands, it's easy to look at these guys at Leninovich and Spangle's level and be like, oh man, these guys suck. Like they're just sitting in the stands, they don't understand the sport. But you put Spangle or Leninovich on a local track with, with even a local pro, they're going to embarrass them. Like
Oh
they are
yeah.
going to embarrass that guy, and they are going to look like they're going to look like Jett Lawrence out there at ACP with the local crew. Like
Yeah.
that, people don't understand how talented that those people are, even at that level. Like they are very, very skilled professional riders, and I mean, I feel like they just kind of don't get the props they deserve sometimes. So
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, let's go into the guys that get all the props and they even get the criticism as well. Jumping into 250, I don't know if we want to say main one, race one, crown one,
yeah,
whatever, the first moto of the night. I talked about this on our last show. Juju's, home race. I said out there, is he going to be able to handle this pressure? It's big, going in there. Deegan just got one. There's definitely the pressure on there. Got out to a great start, but then he touched in the same corner that I had trouble with in qualifying, and then he kind of puts him behind the 8 ball right out of the gate, Justin. But yeah, I mean, we'll get into the other thing, but I don't know. I just felt like Juju was feeling some sort of pressure or something was just throwing him off because this is very unlike him from what we see in the first 3 rounds.
Yeah, to see him tuck the front, it's kind of disappointing because when he got that whole shot, that crowd absolutely erupted. It was so loud. I don't think there was anyone not cheering for him unless they were a Deegan lover. I mean, it was so loud in there. And yeah, he tucked the front in the same spot as he did in qualifying. That track, it was very dry during qualifying, and they put a lot of water on it before the night show. We were watching them water, and they were soaking it. So. It's a bummer that he slipped. He must have hit a slick edge. Luckily, half the field crashed right behind him. So, and then he proved once again, he can move through the pack. He has proved that he has the racecraft. But if he gets a bad start, he can pass people and move his way up. And some of these other guys aren't able to do that.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely. I think he got a lot of help because he had a traffic jam that fell behind him of
Yeah.
about 8 to 10 riders. Because I think when he got up, I think he was in ninth. Worked his way up to fourth. But yeah, CJ, how about you? With Julian, do you think the crowd eruption maybe was a little distraction, or was it just
no,
something
I
about
mean,
that corner?
yeah, I think we saw several people make a mistake there. He made a mistake there in
Hmm.
practice. I think it's just Glendale has I mean, you saw it time and time again. Jett was sliding out. Everyone was talking about getting happy
Hmm.
with the throttle and having to have throttle control. And I think that, I mean, Deegan had problems in the same corner.
Yeah.
Julian had problems in that corner earlier in qualifying. I think it was just an incident. I mean, the front end tucked so quick and slid out that, I mean, there was nothing he could have done. Um, I don't know. I mean, it's a little bit unfortunate, but it would have been nice to see what he could have done up there because like you said, I mean, he pulled the whole shot. He did everything he was supposed to do. And of course, on the first lap, you can't be going down on the first lap and trying to do anything. At that point, it's just salvage mode. I mean, he did come through the pack pretty well. He sent that big ass triple across the starting line, which was that thing on a 250F. Those guys are seat bouncing that thing, stretching the bike out. It looks
Yeah.
massive when they hit it on the 250F. Deegan actually hit it too, and it looks. I mean, it looks big no matter what. When those guys are hitting it, but when those 250Fs are stretching that thing, it looks way bigger than 82 feet. It looks
Yeah.
huge. So that was
Yeah,
cool to
no.
see him, and everyone went crazy every time him or Deegan hit that jump. But yeah, I think it was a racing incident. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure all those guys are nervous. I'm sure being at a home track makes you a little extra nervous, but I don't know. I think that corner was just a little bit of a difficult one that you needed to figure out first lap. Maybe he thought he could push it a little more than he could, and that's what happens.
Yeah,
especially after the
adrenaline
woods
pumping
too.
in
You're
front of
coming in
his
fast.
home crowd. Yeah, I mean the track was just freshly groomed too. I mean, slick, like you mentioned, Deegan had the same issue in that same turn as well. Someone that didn't have any issues on that track for the first moto was Mr. Cole Davies. I mean, that kid continues to impress. It just seems like he's getting better and better by the week. But CJ, I mean, right now you can't really say much about Cole Davies. I mean, he's crushing it right now.
Oh, I mean, he looks unreal. He looks like a seasoned veteran. He looks like he doesn't crack under pressure. Every time that you think that like he's gonna make a mistake, Deegan's closing in on him, Jordan Smith's closing in on him, Moseman's closing in on him, or somebody's gonna, put some pressure on him. He just keeps putting in the laps. He hits his marks every time. He looks comfortable. He doesn't look like I mean, he made some comments about, hey, like I learned some stuff from Juju. I saw him hit that big triple, and I'm not about that life. If he doesn't want to take those risks, he's not having to. And that takes some maturity. I mean, I think some of these young guys coming in, they think like, oh, this guy did it, I better do it, even if they don't feel
Hmm.
comfortable. And he seems like he's wise beyond his years. I mean, he seems like he's something special.
Yeah, no, and I think one thing that we learned quickly with this track throughout the races is being the fastest guy out there did not mean you were going to win. I don't think the fastest lap time of the night ever won a single moto. It was about being smooth, controlling that throttle, hitting those big rhythms, hitting them consistently, getting a good start. And that's exactly what Cole Davies was, right? I mean, Triple Crowns are tailor made for him. He shows that he can get good start. He has a sprint speed. I don't think he has that full, 20-minute main event with pressure on him. And who knows, with Juju right there, who knows if he could have, held that pace. But I mean, Jordan Smith was right there giving him a run for the money too. But no, I mean, really impressive start for race one. But anything else stand out to you guys in that first 250 moto?
Uh, Michael Mosman.
Mm.
I mean, Michael Mosman, he hasn't done much all year. I mean, that
Hmm.
first moto, he was right there. He was putting the pressure on Deegan. Deegan made that mistake. They went back and forth a little bit. Mosman went down, still got up. I believe he got like a top five finish. I think that first race still. Mosman was pretty impressive. It's almost like he's kind of getting back to where he was before he got hurt. And that definitely was impressive to me.
Yeah, no, I thought Mosman was impressive all day.
Hmm.
He looked like a different Mosman than we've seen in a long time. I mean, it was almost like Mosman from back on those gas days. Like he looked like he was ripping. And yeah, he put a pass back on Deegan, which is surprising. You'd think there'd be some
Yep.
team tactics or something going on there, but if there is, he didn't care. I mean, he went right back by. He was showing him the wheel, kind of ran it inside a few times. And he looked good. I mean, he looked really good. He was putting in some really good times. Yeah, he made that mistake in the sand, but I thought he looked really good. Deegan, I don't know. I mean, he looked good. He looks fast. Everywhere you go, like he looks fast. But I don't know. I'm starting to get to the point where I'm like, is he fast or does he just rev the bike to the moon and wiggle his ass around a bunch like Barsha and it just looks like he's doing a lot. He's like the complete opposite of Jett. Jett looks like the bike is like never being revved and his body is just like it almost looks like Jett's out there on a Sunday cruise and it looks like Deegan is literally using every muscle in his entire body to do everything he can on the bike and it looks bitchin', but it's and especially on this track like you said, like you almost couldn't override this track. And I don't know. I think that crazy over aggression maybe was an issue for him on this track because it seemed like he struggled to get through the pack. Like he kind of got to a position and I mean he couldn't pass Jordan Smith. He struggled to pass his teammates.
Hmm.
I mean Moseman fell down, so he was able to get away from him. But I mean he was on Davies' back tire at one point, and Davies ended up winning the main by 4 seconds.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm waiting to see this racecraft that he said that he's growing up and seeing because right now I haven't seen much racecraft. Yeah, he can work his way up from 18th and pass, a bunch of these privateers, sure. But once he starts getting the mix with all these factory goods, unless he's, up at the front and leading, like you said, like he's struggling to get through the pack. So yeah, I just don't see the racecraft that he's been bragging about because it definitely hasn't shown up. I mean, this was a perfect opportunity for him to jump on this, especially with Juju going down. And I mean, he ended up getting a third. I know he went down too, but honestly, I don't know if he's going to get any better than that, anyways, even if he didn't crash. Um, Another name that stood out to me, had a great night too. We'll go into it later. Is Parker Ross? Gets a seventh in race one, so really great ride from him. Um, Shimoda with a 21st, a DNF. I mean, I don't know what's the point of still putting them out there anymore. I mean, is he just wants to cash in that fifth or sixth place, championship rank? I mean, I don't know. It just seems like every week has been kind of rough. But Justin, what about you? Anything else stand out to you in that first
Did
race?
did they say anything on the broadcast about Shimoda after he went down? Was his bars bent or something? Because he came in, I know the next two mains, I mean, he at least was top 10, so I'm not sure if something happened where maybe something was bent up too much. He didn't want to keep racing, but yeah, I think Shimoda's hand's definitely still bugging him. He didn't look that good during qualifying at all. Honestly, I kind of forgot Shimoda was even racing until we saw him
Hmm.
go down, and they made a point of, oh, Shimoda's in the mechanics area. I mean,
Yep.
before that, I didn't see him all day during qualifying. I mean, nothing stood out at all about him. So I
Except the
think
one
Shimoda's a
handguard.
little,
Yeah.
yeah, still like, come on, dude, just throw two of them on there or don't run them, dude. You don't. He doesn't have the cutout in his glove anymore, so it's like just take that damn handguard off or run two of them. Figure it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't really understand the point of even having him there. Like at this point, what I mean, you have no shot at the title anymore. I mean, what are you doing? Is this just a
To
PR
have
stunt?
HRC to have a bike out there, is that
Yeah,
That's
like
HRC
probably
just
what
needs
it
a
is.
250
Yeah,
bike?
they need to
yeah,
have someone
I
show
don't
up for sponsors.
Yeah, I don't really understand it. It's I mean, you're not competitive with the top guys. And that Moto 3 we'll get to it, but race 3 he looked a little bit different randomly, but other than that, I mean, qualifying those first two races, I don't know. I think we said the same thing like why is he even out there at this point? Like I feel like you're just risking injury. If your hand really is hurting and
Exactly.
it's like keeping you back, like why are you out there risking it? Um I don't know. Seems a little odd to me. But no, so never seeing Deegan race live. I kind of expected. I kind of had like this. I don't know, like when you used to go watch James Stewart ride live, or even Christian Craig when Christian Craig
Hmm.
was on that crazy run his last year on a 250F. You when you were at the track, it was like even if you weren't a fan of the sport or weren't following the sport as closely as like we do, you could show up and be like, that guy is different than the rest of them.
Yeah.
I didn't get that feel. Like if I didn't know who Deegan was, I was just there as a nobody watching the race. Um, I don't think that my head would have ever turned when Deegan went by. I mean, he
Yeah.
didn't, other than revving his bike to the holy fucking moon like Barsha does. I don't know. Like he doesn't look to me like he doesn't look like Christian Craig did when he was on a 250F or James Stewart did when he was on a 125, where like he goes by and you turn your head like, holy shit, that was different than the rest of these other guys. I don't know. I didn't get that vibe from him. I wanted to. Like that's kind of what I thought. I thought that I was gonna see him go out there and be like, damn, this guy is different. I don't
Yeah.
know. I didn't get that vibe. I didn't get that vibe in practice. He did a lot of other honestly it kind of bothered me. I mean, he can do his own thing, whatever. But it honestly his qualifying method bothered me. It seemed like he just rolls around and does nothing. And then he puts in like a fast lap and then he just rolls around and does nothing and just like sits there, pulls off the track, pulls on the track, and then he like puts in a heater. It's obviously working for him. I can't tell the guy
Yeah.
how to do his thing, but it's just weird. You see these other guys out there pounding out laps. You see Eli, you see these 450 top guys. They're pounding out laps and they're kind of working on sections or whatever. And it seems like he's just out there like I don't know. It's weird. It's different. It was different than I think I expected. I don't know. We'll see what happens, but I think I think he puts off this persona that I don't know if he's living up to it yet.
Yeah, it
there
was a
was no
very
wow factor.
flat. It was a very flat weekend for him. Like even all night long, where I really thought like A2, you saw that, how he performed. You're like, damn, all right, that's what we anticipated. And you go to Glendale, and yeah, he was just kind of flat. Like he wasn't able to keep up with Juju's time in the 59s. Usually is. But yeah, I kind of felt the same thing. And who knows? Maybe the track conditions with it being so slick, like I said, with his riding style and being so aggressive, it was not made for that track, by
Yeah.
any means. Um, but yeah, I mean, even just as the races got going, I expected him to work his way up through the pack, put in those sprint laps because he has that sprint speed 100%. And in that first moto, he didn't really do anything. Like he actually he looked like maybe the third or fourth fastest guy out there, and
Mhm.
Coltegus was faster than him. So yeah, really, unimpressive weekend just in general. I mean, we'll get into the overall results and the point standings at the end as far as where he stands, but I mean, he had an opportunity to come in here and really kind of steal the show and build some momentum. And I mean, to be honest, neither one of them did. It was just kind of a flat weekend for both the contenders. But we'll get into the end results there. But all right, let's
Hey,
jump over into
it was like CJ said during qualifying, Deegan. It's almost like his persona, like he's talking all this crap about, oh, I'm the best. It seems like he's so worried about wondering who else is on the track. Where's everyone else at? Oh, let me try to pull out in front of Beaumare. Let me try to follow him. He's more worried about trying to play these mind games, and they're not working at all for him. He's not. I mean, he didn't even get top qualifier again this week. And it's almost like he may need that track time. He needs to quit playing these games. He needs to go out there, log laps, log some quality laps, put more than one lap together so he can find the race lines. Because, I mean, he didn't move up at all during that race in that first main.
yeah, no, absolutely. All right, jumping over into 450 race one. Man, dude, Webb shut everyone up. I mean, the story going into it, Webb is not good at Glendale, never going to go good, blah, blah, blah. Well, he comes out, gets the whole shot, completely checks out, holds, Jett back too. But damn, CJ, what an impressive ride by Webb. I wish we got that version of him every weekend.
Yeah, no, it was really cool. I think everyone in the everyone watching at home in the stadium, once Jet kind of got clear. I mean, Jet had a rough start there at the beginning of that race. I mean, some other guys got around him. He kind of looked a little uncomfortable. He messed up a couple rhythms, but then you kind of saw the Jet that we all know by three-quarters of the way through that main. He started closing in on Webb, and I think everyone there thought, okay, he's in his sights now. He's a dead deer,
Yep.
and he held them off. I mean, he looked good. He held to his lines. He wasn't really doing anything crazy. He was hitting that big triple across the start straight there, but he wasn't it wasn't like he was doing anything. Kind of like he didn't look like he was just out there flying. He was just smooth everywhere he went. He was just smooth hitting his marks. And yeah, it was impressive. I mean, to see him hold off Jet like that when Jet was on his back tire, that was pretty cool. That's the Cooper Webb that I think that we start to see as we start moving east into these rougher tracks. I think we're going to see more and more of that. But I think it's good for him to get that confidence. And you could see even when he was on the podium, he was like, "Oh, I think he even mentioned that RC or somebody said that he sucks at Glendale or whatever on the fantasy picks or whatever. They picked him to be like eighth or something like
Yeah.
that. And he was like, hey, I'm here, like, so I think that was cool. I think we're seeing some confidence, and yeah, it was awesome to see him shredding through there.
Yeah. Another standout, kind of took him a while to get going was Chase Sexton. I think he was pretty far back in the pack, and then by halfway, he was really clicking them off. Got up to third. Ken Roxon ripping. Justin, your boy Tomac, another ugly start. Got his way up to the pack. Finishes with a six, and I mean it's really tough, when you put up a number like that in that first moto. It's a lot of work that you got to make up for. But I mean the bad start for Tomac just it still continues.
Yeah, it's hard to say it still continues because let's be real, that's only two bad start. I mean, his first two in the season were great. I mean, he just had that slick incident. It's an A1. He got the whole shot. So, A2 with the rain, I mean, I guess you can kind of forgive that one a little bit. But yeah, this first race, he definitely was buried. He was able to make his way up through the pack up to six, for it being only 12 minutes. It's pretty impressive getting through all those factory guys to get back up there. This field's deep. I mean, this ain't no more like it was Villapoto and Dungey days to where you could crash first turn and still win the race because there's not much talent nowadays. There's what, 5 6 champs in this class, like 14 15 factory rides given out. It ain't easy no more, and the fact that Tomac's still doing this at this age and proving he can pass through, I mean, it could be dangerous to get to the East Coast when he starts getting good, consistent starts, with that. And Webb, yeah, Webb came out with some fire. I think after him hearing about, Rocky Mountain Fantasy, oh, he's eighth, he can't do nothing at Glendale. It was going through a couple different media outlets. He came out with a point to prove. Like CJ said, he even mentioned it on the podium. He's like, so now what?
Yeah. No, absolutely very, very impressive. A couple of names that didn't do very well race one. Jason Anderson 11th, Justin Barsha 12th, Justin Cooper 13th. I mean, there are some ugly rides for, a couple of these factory guys, CJ, that yeah, I mean Justin Hill beat what was that, three big factory riders, four actually, including, Aaron Plessinger. I mean, Josh Hill went out there and beat four factory guys.
Yeah, I
Justin
don't
Hill.
know.
Justin
I don't.
Hill, not Josh. Justin Hill.
Yeah,
I
Justin
don't.
Hill.
I don't know what the deal is with Anderson. I missed. I don't know. I didn't get to go back and rewatch all the races on the TV, being there live. But I don't know if something happened with Anderson in that first one or what. But that was bizarre. I think what did he get, 10th or 11th in that first
11th.
race? Yeah, 11th place in that first race. I don't know. I mean, something must have happened because that's crazy. But I will say, this was on my list of things to talk about. Justin Hill looked incredible in Phoenix. He looked incredible. He looked great in qualifying. He
Hmm.
was when Tomac went by him, he hung on Tomac's back tire for the entire
Yep.
race. I mean, that's
Yep.
the five-time Supercross champion, stars premier guy. I mean, that is beast mode. And he was on his back tire on some Team Tedder bike. I mean,
Yep.
I was blown away by Justin Hill's performance the entire day, the entire night. To me, like, he was the highest performer. I mean, standout, shocking person for me. He was pulling out. I mean, Justin Hill always pulls out some of those big jumps, but
Yep.
he was putting everything together. I mean, he looked good in the corners. He looked smooth. He looked. Justin Hill looked amazing to me. But yeah, I don't know what the deal is with some of those other guys. Justin Cooper, to me, is to be
Typical,
yeah, I
typical,
mean, that's
yeah.
to be expected a lot from him. Honestly, when he does well, it surprises me. But yeah, I don't know what happened to Anderson. That one shocked me, and it kind of pissed me off because I had a bet on Anderson to beat. I needed Anderson to beat Hunter, and Hunter went out there and looked great in that first race. And Anderson was nowhere to be found. So that was a little bit tough for the wallet there. But yeah, interesting there. Justin Hill, props to him. Yeah, Eli got pinched off on that start, and he had his work cut out for him. And sixth place doesn't really cut it when you've got these other guys up at the front of the pack.
Yeah, and I agree. Anderson, usually these hard packed tracks is his bread and butter. And even looking at his lap times, he was a 102. The top 13 riders were faster than him. He was the
Yeah.
14th fastest lap out there. So, yeah, I don't know, especially after last week and how great he was in those heat races. I mean, yeah, very, very surprising result there for him. But all right, before we jump into 250 race two, anything else stand out before we jump over?
I think it's
Kenny,
obviously
Kenny, another great start.
yeah,
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
he's
I
got
mean,
his
to
starts
be,
down. Is that due to the
he got a
factory
great start,
transmission?
but he ends up with a fourth. I mean, I don't know. I
That's
mean, we'll
not
get into
bad.
race two. It did get better for him. Um, but
But
yeah,
he's
I
getting
mean,
he's getting
other than that,
consistent starts. That's huge. I mean, I
yeah.
almost think, does that play out to that factory transmission we've been talking about? That taller first
I
and
mean,
second gear.
I'm sure it helps. For sure. It's gotta
That
be
could be
some kind
big.
of difference.
I mean, he's always good in Glendale, though. I mean, Kenny's good in Glendale. He's good on that
Hmm.
when you need to control the throttle. To me, there's a couple names that come to mind. Eli's really good at the throttle control. Kenny's really good at throttle control. I mean, they're seasoned veterans. I mean, to me, I expected Kenny to go in there and do well. He came in with the points lead. He looked good in practice. I thought he looked good all night. Obviously, to me, it was kind of I was kind of surprised that Jett couldn't get it done. I think Jett looked a little bit wobbly at the beginning of that race,
Hmm.
and it was surprising to me that I mean I get it. A lot of those guys talked about it being difficult to pass on that track, and I understand that Cooper has eyes in the back of his head and he puts that bike everywhere that you don't want it to be when you're behind him. But I was shocked that Jett could not get around Cooper Webb. When you give him 3-4 minutes on the back tire of somebody, normally he's going to get it done. And I was surprised. I think a second is kind of as good as a win in that first one. So who knows? Looks like he kind of
Right.
tried to throw it in there at the end and spun out a little bit. And he talked about it being difficult to pass, but I was shocked by that. I was shocked for him to follow Cooper around for 3-4 minutes of the race.
Yeah, I know. I mean, and he had a pretty good lead. I think he had a 3-4 second lead there. It's very, I mean, he was gone,
Yeah,
right out of the
yeah.
get-go. But yeah, no, so exciting two races there. Jumping over to race number two, honestly, this is almost a carbon copy of what happened in race one, Justin. Once again, Juju gets out, gets a start, gets the whole shot, goes down again. Toll Davies dominates, Deegan stagnant once again, but yeah, I mean, a carbon copy, but man, I mean, you can't talk about it enough. Juju just struggled.
Yeah, seeing Juju, the way he slid out was weird because it was kind of just coming over that because the way
Well,
they built that first turn, it was like
yeah.
an inside outside, and that inside was smaller. So it's almost like when he rolled over that inside, his rear tire slid, and it's almost like it caught. I didn't really watch the replay. It's almost like his rear tire may have caught the lip of the outside, raised single, I guess you could say, and maybe that's what kind of threw him off. But I mean, yeah, Juju, you got to be careful. You just get through that first lap. That's all you got to do. And I even said in the chat, I thought he was cooked after that. I was like, Juju threw the title away tonight because I just thought after that, I'm like, come on, Juju. Like, this was your night. You got your two starts you needed, and you threw both of them away.
Yeah, I mean, finished with a seventh in that one, so I mean, it didn't help him, but what's going to see this it kind of goes back to the previous one. We've talked about it. We were talking about Juju and Cole Davies, being these title threats, and I said, yeah, but I feel like they're going to make mistakes eventually. Like they're not going to keep running perfect. And Juju made two tonight. I mean, he still has the points lead, and we'll discuss that. But lost a lot of points there. Cole Davies looked great. Deegan ended up with a second. Shimoda bounced back. Got to a sixth. Anthony Bourdon ended up with a fifth. Mosman with a fourth. So I mean, there's a lot of names up there that were kind of being scrambled around in that top 10 that you don't normally see.
Yeah, I thought for me, I had some notes for the 250 class. Was other than the first race, Anthony Bourdon to me stood out. He was,
Hmm.
I mean, he was a challenge for Deegan. Deegan struggled to get around him for a while.
It's not the
And the
first
other,
time either.
yeah,
He
and
didn't he
the
struggle with him in San Diego or something like that too, or
Yeah, I mean he's putting in some good rides and he looks good on the bike. He was one of those guys that I was like, damn, like why does this guy not have better finishes? He looks good. And the other person too that I thought was riding really hard, looked really good in the corners. I thought he had really good corner speed was Cody Schock.
yeah.
Cody Schock had some, I mean his results don't really show it. I don't know if he went down or what, but I guess he went 989. Pretty consistent, but I thought he looked good. I thought he looked good. His corners looked good. I mean, he looked like he should be out there with those guys. Yeah, it's tough. It's tough to have Juju. It seemed like he was going to capitalize on his error from Moto One, and then yeah, that section right there, they kind of had that section before the triple split in half, and it seems like he turned right into the center of where they had it split. I don't know. I mean, it's one of those things where he could have probably done it 9 more times and been
Mhm.
perfectly fine. It's unfortunate. I don't know. To me, I mean, it's another one of those racing incidents. He was dead last, completely dead last, and he looked good. He didn't have a lot of time to get back up to the front. I mean, but he looked really good. He came through the pack pretty well. I don't know, like you said, it was kind of boring. Everyone was just kind of watching Cole Davies just click off lap after lap like a seasoned veteran hitting his marks. I mean, I
Yeah.
don't think he made a single bobble the whole race.
Yeah, like I said, to me, we talked about it. Julian hasn't really had any pressure on him, to start this season. I feel like he did have it going to this one, the first two races. I mean, he makes these mistakes that you didn't see that from him at all. I mean, he's been riding perfect all season long, and come out here to make those, two mistakes in those two races, just, very uncharacteristic for him. Um, Deegan, once again got out there. The fastest lap was the only one in the 101s, but we talked about this all night, being the fastest guy. Like it's just crazy to me. Like he had the fastest lap in there, but you watch those races and he's struggling to get around guys. I'm just like, it's just not adding up. Usually the fastest guy, you can see it. It's obvious. They cut through the pack, but Justin, I mean, once again, wasn't really doing what he had decent starts. First two races, he was up there, fourth, fifth, which is what we thought all he needed to do. But man, another race here that's just like, dude, you can't even go out there and chase down like Cole Davies. Like, yeah,
Yeah,
I don't know.
it's really concerning for Deegan that he cannot make his way through the pack. I mean, yes, A1 he made it through the pack, but it was against a bunch of nobodies and he finished what, sixth? I mean, he had all factor guys in front of him. He couldn't get around them. And now he's proven in an even weaker field, he can't get through him. He can't get through the factory guys. Me and CJ at the race, even CJ's dad, we're kind of see, Deegan didn't even look like he looked like the third best star rider out there. In those first two mains, he was not impressive. Davies looked like what Deegan should have looked like, getting the start, running away, putting the consistent laps out, and not having any hiccups. Like that's what Deegan's been talking about all year, all off season, coming into A1. I'm the best there is, talking like he is James Stewart. He ain't James Stewart. James Stewart can make passes. Even though he went down, he still could make passes. And Deegan just, it's almost like he was settling, but he was still over revving the bike, trying so hard, and it just causes mistake after mistake that causes him to lose time. He needs to drop it back down to like 80%. I mean, if he rides at 80%, he may be way faster.
Yeah, and to me, like I don't know. Like obviously he saw Juju go down both times. I don't know. Maybe he was just like, hey, my biggest competition is laying on the ground back there. Like I don't want to join him. Let me just go and try to make some clean laps, and we'll never know. But I mean, you would think that plays in some kind of factor, but at the same time, I can see Deegan be like, oh, Juju's on the ground. I gotta go win and go, get these points. So I
He's
could
got too
see it
big of an
going.
ego.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I could
that
see it
and
going either way.
yeah, that and I don't think Deegan has it in his arsenal to let one of his teammates beat him by choice. I think we're going to see a little bit of a mix up in um, team tactics during the week. I don't think that Deegan is going to take it very well that Davies is doing what Davies is doing. Obviously, we'll talk about what happened in the third race, but Deegan is going to he better realize that Davies is a threat, and I don't think that that's going to play very well for him during the week when these guys are riding with each other every week. I think right now is yeah, Davies. The story is Davies looks good at the practice track. He hasn't really done that much. Yeah, we've all talked about him being impressive because he's a rookie, but Deegan's been the man at Star, and then you come out here and again, if you didn't know who Deegan was, Davies looked like the star. Davies looked like the guy that Deegan should be out there.
Hmm.
And I just don't think that the way that Brian and the way that Hayden con- like the way that they carry themselves, I just don't think that that's going to I don't think that's going to sit well with them. I think that that's going to be tough for them to go and practice with these guys. And I mean, they're watching each other ride all week long. Anything Deegan's doing, he's learning from it. I don't know. I think that's going to be tough when you have an ego and a chip on your shoulder. I don't know. I'm interested to see what happens there. I could see some. I could see some breaking news coming that some star guys are fighting in the whoops or Deegan fucking T-bones him at the practice track coming up.
Hey, we
Cole
got
Davies
two
is
weeks.
moving east.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Cole Davies is
we
gonna
got
line up
2 weeks,
at
and
Tampa.
yeah, 2 weeks until they race again. So you got 2 weeks of
It's gonna
sitting
be
back
another triple
knowing,
crown too.
Yeah,
Yeah, and but you're sitting back thinking, shit, I wasn't even the best guy on my team in Glendale. Like the
Yeah.
last race, I wasn't the best. And now I got to go practice with these guys. And Davey's got all the confidence in the world right now. And he's just
Yeah.
calm, cool, collective. And I mean, Davies might be coming out in Dallas as a threat, a real threat.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. I think the 250 West is definitely going to take a turn heading into Arlington because this is when the tracks really start getting deep and rutted and really technical. So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. Um, as far as anything else, as far as 250 race number two, I mean, March Spanks with a 10th, Zach Reynolds back with a 20th. But other than that, I think we kind of touched up
What was
on
Smith?
most
Smith
of the
was third,
headlines there.
right? Smith was third.
Yeah, Smith was
Yeah.
third, Deegan
Hey,
second. So
Jordan Smith has just been getting some consistent starts and just not flashy, but just, he's there. He's just sitting there. He's there whenever someone else makes a mistake. He's showing that veteran card. He's letting all these rookies and young kids make these mistakes and just handing it. Oh, I mean, Smith ate shit in the whoops, at 8-2, but other
mhm.
than that, he's just been sitting back, letting these rookies make mistakes, let them get the bad starts, let them take the front, and he's just sitting back. He put the pressure on Davies and, he almost had him Moto 1, but, he kind of just, I'll take a second's just as good as a win in that first Moto.
Yeah, and I think Triple Crowns, I think they help him out a lot too, because he's always good at the beginning of the
A
races. It's
good
always
starter.
toward the end where he kind of loses it. So I think the Triple Crowns are tailor made for him. Um, all right, main event number two for the 450s. Justin, you said I don't know, I wouldn't call it a trend, I wouldn't call it a pattern, but Tomac with another bad start. That's three in a row. That's a pattern right there.
Dead last. He came around dead last. And he had to roll the triple in that first section.
yeah, he
He
rolled that
he
first triple off the
rolled the
start.
first triple. He had to, dude. Someone checked up before him, and literally, I'm looking, I'm like, God damn it, dude, there it goes. And then that's when Dunn sent that video of me sitting there. I'm like, God, dude, there goes everything. Eli, like, what the heck? But Eli still worked his way up. I mean, Eli is still showing he is beast mode. He is back. It's back to 2022, 2023 beast mode. I mean, if he gets his starts figured out, I mean, this field's toast. This field's cooked.
Yeah, he looked unreal coming through the pack. It's one of those things like, I think we've all been there as racers. Like everyone's got those butterflies, and you get that adrenaline going. And I'm sure we've all been there. You go down in the first corner, and then it's like you ride better than you've ever ridden in your life after that. And that's kind of like it, that's what it looked like. He looked like he was a man on a mission. I mean, he had the fastest lap time of the
Hmm.
race, and he was dicing people up. He was going around the outside of people. He had a line going on the inside of the sand that nobody else was taking, and doubling. He was doubling out of those rollers in the sand while turning, and it was just sick. I mean, he was just flying through that sand section. I mean, he almost fell off the back fender quadding after the finish line because
Yeah.
he was just
Yep.
wide open. Yeah. And yeah, I mean, he looked like he was a man on a mission. He looked incredible. And then to me, it was a little bit. I thought Sexton. I thought Sexton just looked like whatever. I don't know. It's weird. I mean,
Hmm.
he's just always there. He's like to me, he's kind of like Dungy, where he's
Dungy.
just
Yeah.
Yep.
he's just he's always there. It's like you almost don't even realize he's there until the end. It's like, oh shit, look, I guess Sexton was right there.
Yeah.
It's weird. I mean, he obviously doesn't look slow, but he also doesn't look like he's doing anything special. But he's there. I mean, he makes sure that he's there and he's consistent. So
Yeah,
I
I mean, Sexton definitely doesn't have that top end speed that he had in 2023 on the Honda. But honestly, I think these top guys, these top four, five, six guys, I think they're really close in pace. Even Jett's not ripping. I mean, Ken
no,
Roxon was able to run away with it. I mean, Jett was right there behind him. But I mean, last year you talked about Jett going to chase down Webb. He's going to beat him there. This one, he probably chases down Roxon too. But these top guys, I mean, they're all ripping. Like, yeah, Tomac had the fastest lap time, but Sexton wasn't too far behind him with the second fastest lap time. So these guys are ripping, but when you watch them, they're all just so close as far as that pace goes. No one's really standing out unless Tomac. is coming through the pack because he's passing guys that look like they're fucking sitting slow. You know,
Yeah.
they're sitting still. But once they get there all next to each other, like, man, it just doesn't seem like they're doing anything. But yeah, I think with Sexton, we'll get into the overall results, but I don't know. Maybe this is what he needed. Maybe he needs this kind of more
Dial
control,
back.
less ripping and gripping. Because I mean, it's been working out so far. He hasn't been crashing, nearly as much. He was someone that really needed to get his starts fixed too, and he was able to get that done. And I mean, he wasn't too far behind Chase Sexton, during that battle. I mean, behind Jett Lawrence during that battle either. Um, but yeah,
Well,
I mean, I just think it talks about just how close in speed these top guys really are, Justin.
we got the four. I mean, we got Kenny, Jett, Sexton, Tomac at that end, all up front. And to think that Tomac caught up to all those guys in a 12-minute main, that's kind of scary for those other guys. I mean, he
Yeah,
was
but at
up.
the
He
same
was up
time,
right
he
there on
once he got
Sexton.
there, he couldn't do anything with it. I mean, he was
Yeah, it
on
looked like
Sexton's rear tire, and Sexton ended up dropping him by the end of it.
They almost killed each other. They almost
They
yeah.
did
killed each
almost
other.
hit.
They
Yeah.
almost that could have been so bad. Oh my God.
Yeah.
I didn't realize it was that close until
Oh yeah.
that video or that you sent. I was like, because then when we were there, it was like, oh damn, Tomac made a mistake and couldn't like triple or whatever. Like
Yeah.
after that, but then seeing that, it's like, oh shit, I know why he didn't do that. Like they
Yeah.
they were almost foot peg on top of each other's foot peg right there.
Well, and not only that, like if you look like Jet, Rox, and Tomac, they were sending that big triple every single lap. Sexton, I don't think he ever did it. Or maybe he did every now and then, but he was definitely more the opposite to where he wasn't sending it, he was just kind of launching it. So I mean, it just showed that those different lines kind of played into a factor, CJ.
Yeah, no, I think it was weird. It almost seemed like the wind kind of got out of Tomac's sails after that because he caught up to Sexton
Hmm.
from way back there, and then yeah, they had that near collision, and then he kind of messed up that whole rhythm before that big long triple,
I think he
and
cased the quad after the finish hard as
yeah,
shit
He
too.
cased
Yeah,
that
he did
really
that too.
hard.
I
Yeah.
was worried. I'm like, dude, I hope that Achilles is good because that's gonna
Yeah,
explode it if not.
I
yeah.
was hoping his rear wheel didn't explode.
Yeah,
Yeah, he cased
it
that
seemed
bad.
like that maybe took the wind out of his sails because at
Hmm.
that point it was like Sexton kind of pulled back away a little bit and then they kind of just rode their way to the finish line.
Yeah. No, exactly. Looking at the rest here, top five kind of say Anderson bounced back, got up to a six. Hunter
Hey,
fell
was
way
that
back to
uh
ninth.
Moto 2 was when Mookie got a decent start, right? Mookie was like
Yeah,
second.
Mookie looked
Hmm.
good and then he
Mookie got a good
crashed in the
start.
sand.
Yeah.
Yep, got finished with an 11th. Barsha, another 12. J. Coop, another 13th. Savachi, we'll get to his end results. I feel like we haven't talked to him at all. And honestly, there's been nothing to talk about. He's just been flat out just bad. For as good as a writer as he is and he's shown in the past, it's just been a complete flop for him.
He's gone downhill since that BC ride. I mean, or actually no, since he had that factory Cali ride. I mean, that factory Cali ride, he put in some really good results when he filled in, and then they didn't do anything for him. I believe it was for outdoors. I mean, they kind of just let him walk. And ever since then, it seems like Savachi's just been bouncing around from team to team and not really doing anything. Like, yeah, he was competing for the 250 World Supercross Championship, but shit, dude, CJ could go out there and probably get a top three in World Supercross. So, like, it's just not translating. I think this World Supercross, is just a bunch of fool's gold for these guys, coming to the States, and then when everyone's there, they realize like, oh shit, like I was nowhere near where I needed to be. Like Enzo,
Yep.
Savachi, McElrath, like all those guys that were top guys over there. I mean, they haven't done nothing.
Hey, the world champions over there, okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, they can kiss my ass.
All right. Anything else? Race two before we jump into race three.
No, not for me.
No, not that I can think of.
All right. Here we go. 250 race three. We talked about it. Last week I said Davies, it's his rookie season. He's bound to make a mistake. Eventually, he's been perfect. He throws away the win, goes down, very first turn. that's
No,
kind of it. Smith, Mr. Consistent, took the show, got triumph the first win. That's freaking awesome. And Juju ends up finishing off the podium, which hey, it's for how bad the night started. Finishing a fourth is actually pretty solid. But Dusty, what stood out to you? Was it Davies, throwing away the win? Was it Smith just being
Davies
Mr. Consistent?
Davies got put in a tough spot because the tough spot got kicked out and he had nowhere to go. Yes, of course that plays into the factor of getting a start,
But he got
but
a
he
bad
also
start, right? Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. He just didn't get a good start, but I mean that just sucks for him because I mean he was the one guy that showed he could go 1-1-1 and sweep the Triple Crown. I don't know if that's been done in 250 that I know of, a 1-1-1 and Triple Crown, but I
I
definitely
don't know.
believe Davies could have done that. For him to get back up to eighth was pretty impressive for that little amount of time, to get back up there was really impressive because it kind of matched what Juju did and Juju having the red plate, I mean, you kind of got to say that's the standard. And Smith, yeah, was Mr. Consistency. I mean, he just went out there, got a good start all three races, and was able to put it on top of the block at the end of the day. Get triumph, their very first win.
Hmm.
Congratulations to them. That's huge. Second year as a manufacturer in the sport, and they proved that their bike's good enough. They got the speed to win. They got the speed to get starts. I mean, I know a lot of people talked a lot of shit on Jordan Smith going to Triumph. We kind of did the same thing, saying, "Hey, Triumph's your last resort." But Smith's showing that Triumph's bike's there to win. I mean, it's a
Yeah.
solid bike. I mean, I think RC developing that bike, it's kind of the same thing that happened when Suzuki signed him. Suzuki wasn't doing much. RC got on it. RC pretty much turned that Suzuki into an '04 Honda, and look at what they've done, what they did with RC. So I think RC's really helped with that bike. It's almost like if you look at it in person, it's like a combination of a Yamaha and KTM a little bit. That they took the best of both of them and kind of put them together. And that could be deadly. A lot of people talk about how great the KTM feels, and then with that Yamaha kind of motor. So it was very impressive for Smith to get that first win, and it was consistency.
Yeah, and see that a bounce back race for Julian. I mean, still ended up getting second. If you would have told me that going into Glendale, neither Julian or Hayden Deegan were going to win a moto, I would have said you're high as hell. There's no way one
Yeah.
of them is going to get it done.
100%.
Neither one of them did. Julian was able to do it, but once again, Hayden Deegan got stuck. Julian was able to get around Michael Mosman, no problem. Hayden Deegan was battling with him, ended up, you know, not getting around him at all, but yeah, just really surprised with this Triple Crown that the top two fastest guy out there, weren't able to get a moto win.
Yeah, to me, this was the big separator. This is what these guys are going to go into Arlington in this 2 week break. For me, Deegan's going to be losing sleep, and Juju is still going to leave Glendale with some confidence. So Juju and Deegan were both like outside the top 10 or right around 10th, pretty close to each other. And dude, Deegan once again, he struggled to get around Cody Shock. He struggled to get around Anthony Bourdon. He finally gets around both of them, and at that point, Juju had gotten by Marchbanks. He was up there working on Moseman,
Hmm.
and I don't know. It just seemed like Deegan's, wiggling his dick around and revving his bike to the moon, but he's not getting around these guys. Like he's struggling to get by these guys. I mean, I don't understand it. It's just one of those things. Like when we left there, that was like the one thing that like on my mind was that like I was expecting so much more from Deegan to see him live, and
Yeah.
to me, he was Barsha on a 250F. I was blown away that he rode around behind Anthony Bourdon for like 3 laps. Like, what the fuck are you doing? Pass the guy.
Yeah.
And then Marchbanks put up a fight, and then he never could get around Moseman. And I mean,
Hmm.
to me, like Justin said earlier, it was almost like he was like the third best guy on Star for the night. I mean, yeah, he finished ahead of everybody else on Star,
Right.
because of their own conflicts. But what happened with Davies was it was the whole stadium. You could feel like everyone's
Mm.
heart just like fuck, man. Like
Bummed for
everyone,
him.
yeah, he just seems like a really good kid. He seems like he's there for the right reasons. He was doing some stuff that like was just like blowing everyone's expectations out of the water. And then it took a second. Everyone's kind of looking around like, hey, where the hell's the number 100? And then you see him in the middle of the triple picking his bike up, and it's just like, dang, man. It's like you feel for him. You have that empathy,
Yeah.
like, damn it, dude, like that, like let's see what he can do. But you're just kind of bummed out that that's kind of what happens. Is that's what happens. You got to get a good start. You put yourself in a bad situation, but I mean, it's tough to go double and a triple, and there's a tough block there. So that's brutal. But I mean, to me, Julian came through the pack. You can't let Jordan Smith get that big of a gap and tried to run someone that good down. But I think Julian put in a hell of a ride. He went through the pack. Deegan has, I've said this on the other pods from the other races. Like, I feel like if Deegan does not get a whole shot, he's not winning the race. He's I don't think that he's passed anybody other than Julian, and he has to put his dick in the dirt to do it.
I mean,
So
to
I
be fair, hasn't that been the 250 class in a nutshell? Everyone that's won has
Yeah,
gotten the whole shot.
yeah.
Yeah,
I
Like
pretty
was
you
just
much
think of like
so.
surprised.
Jordan Smith, he got the whole shot here. Cole Davies, he got all the whole shots. Juju, he didn't get the whole shot, but he just had to pass, Cole Davies, which is looking, even more impressive now. Deegan got the whole shot. Shimoda got the whole shot. Like, that's kind of been the story of this 250 class. Is everyone that's won has gotten the whole shot or at least second and kind of checked out.
I just think that everybody that was there and everyone watching on TV too, I think that we all thought we were going to see a battle between Juju and Deegan,
Hmm.
even there in the seventh or eighth position, whatever they were in. I think everyone was like, "Oh, we're about to see fireworks," and it wasn't. Julian went through the
Yep.
pack, and Deegan struggled to follow behind. And to me, the takeaway for me is, yeah, Deegan ended up finishing second overall because of some
Yep.
mishaps on the other rider's part. But to me, my takeaway is if I'm Deegan, I'm leaving there thinking like, holy fuck, these guys are faster than I am, and I got to figure
Yeah.
something out. And Juju, it's like, yeah, I made some dumb errors, but I'm fast. Like I'm
Hmm.
fast. Davies too. Davies like, yeah, I made a mishap. I should have won that race, but I'm fast. I think
Yeah.
Deegan has to find some speed.
I think Deegan's worried. He's gotta shut his mouth and go to work because if Juju doesn't have those mistakes, Davies doesn't have that last mistake, Deegan's not on the podium. And if Mosman doesn't crash in the sand, who knows? Mosman could have hung with Deegan in that first moto. So you're looking at if Juju goes 1-1-2, Davies goes 2-2-3, whatever. I mean, Deegan could have very well easily been off the podium and been a lot of points down. Juju was able to salvage some points. Thank God it was thank God it was a triple crown, but even if it wasn't a triple crown, I think Juju still would have been fine with his ability to get through the pack. No matter what, he would still, in 15 minutes, I think he'd at least have a top five no matter what. So no matter what happened, I think he would have been fine if it was a regular race with his two mishaps in the beginning. But I think it's a worrisome for Deegan, like DJ said, like you got to go to work. I mean, these guys are proving that. Who cares what your last name is? Who cares the amount of followers you have on YouTube and Instagram? We don't give a shit. We're here to race, and we'll show you what's up. I mean, we'll race you to the end. So Deegan's got to figure it out.
Yeah, I mean, on the flip side too, if you look at the Hayden Deegan side, I think he's looking like these guys are human, right? Juju made two very uncharacteristic mistakes, really weird mistakes. So this shows that he can make those mistakes, even while leading. And even Cole Davies, though, as immaculate as he's been, especially with his starts, hey, he can get a bad start. This track and this Triple Crown really rewarded those that could be consistent, make the least amount of mistakes, and that's exactly what Jordan Smith did. 2-3-1 for the win. Deegan 3-2-4 for second. Davies 1-1-8. Juju 4-7-2. Like that's just kind of what this track ended up being. Like, yeah, it was underwhelming performance by Deegan, but I mean, at the end of the day, all the what ifs and if this didn't happen, that didn't happen. He still ended up finishing second overall. He still ended up gaining points on Juju. He still ended up beating Cole Davies.
He's down to
He did
nine.
what
He's
he
down to
did what
nine
he had to
points.
do. Yeah, he had to do what he needed to do. Jordan Smith was just a little bit better, got that race win. But I mean, to me, you can't take any away from Jordan Smith. I know we said Jordan Smith's gonna win, he's gotta have stuff fall his way. Yeah, that's exactly what happened, this time. But I mean, he was consistent, 2-3-1, getting that triumph on there. I'm stoked for him. I think this is gonna light a fire under Faulkner to go out and try to win too. I think they had a little side bet as far as who was gonna get that first win. But looking at the overalls, Shimoda with a 10th, goes 21.65. Shout out Parker Ross with a ninth. Anthony Bourdon, with a seventh. And then other than that, I mean, it's kind of everyone kind of fell, where you would think. But
Hey, do
overall,
you think
CJ, what'd you think?
good?
I mean, I think for the way that Deegan rode, I think that was the best possible outcome for the bad riding that we saw from Deegan.
Hmm.
I do think that going back east and getting away from this hard pack stuff does favor his riding style. And I think that he's able to, that whole wiggle dicking and revving the motor up does work better when there's traction.
Hmm.
So I mean, I'm not saying I'm writing him off. I'm not saying anything like that. I was underwhelmed by his performance, and I think that his getting second place was the best possible outcome for the way he was riding. So, hats off to him. I mean, you win championships on your bad nights, and he came out of there with a number two. So, good on him. Made some points up on Juju. I think Juju does leave there though with some confidence. I think that he was um he was the fastest guy on the track. I think in every one of those races, you can't start and fall down and put yourself in 12th and 15th place and try to do anything with that. But other than that, I mean, hats off to Anthony Bourdon, hats off to Cole Davies, hats off to Jordan Smith with that first Triumph win. It was a night of good racing, and I think the track was really good. It was awesome. It was great to be there live, and um, yeah, I don't know. I thought it was good. I think it's still a really good championship. I'm glad to see that
Hmm.
one person isn't running away with it. I think we have a three, possibly four-man fight.
Yeah, really down to three. Justin Juju's leading it with 87. George Smith's at 85. Deegan's 84. Cole Davies, this is actually surprising. As good as his year's gone, he's 15 points back. So I
Yeah,
think his title chances are over. I think it's going to be three-man battle, but I just think everyone's kind of got their mistakes out of the way. Jordan Smith had a digger, at A2. I think it's just going to come down to everyone's, a race win within taking over the points lead. I think it's just going to come down to who's going to be the most consistent, make the least amount of mistakes. They might not go out and win three races, but they might be sitting there second or third while the others are getting, fifth, sixth, and seventh.
I think this West Coast Championship comes down to our East West shootouts. I think the big thing is going to come down to Juju's proved he can move through the pack. Deegan can't. If we go to these East West shootouts, a lot of these guys already hate Deegan just for the way he runs his mouth. What's going to happen? East Coast is absolutely stacked. Juju, I feel like if he gets a bad start East West, he can move through. If I feel like Deegan gets a bad start in East West, he's going to have some real trouble. People are going to run him real high. They're going to be very defensive. He might get Vince Freeze by some no name. Yeah, I mean, you like CJ's kind of said, like the way Anderson and Jett had that battle, or Jett rode timid behind Anderson, at A2 and everything like that. Like, I think these 250 guys East Coast are not going to put up with Deegan. Kitchen don't like Deegan. Some of these guys have already said, they don't really care for it. So I think our championship for the West Coast comes down to these East West shootouts. Also, I'm curious to see what happens. I mean, we have West Coast Seattle, Denver, Arlington. Those are some more little bit softer tracks. So does Deegan really excel in that? Does that where Deegan makes up a lot of his points to kind of recuperate whatever happened? We have Salt Lake, that's a hard packed track. So does that favor Julian? Since he trains West Coast in California, Deegan's East Coast in Georgia or Florida. So I think it's going to be real interesting to see what happens, but I think the East-West shootouts is going to be the real key. And I'm also curious, Bourdon's been doing really well this year. He's been pretty consistent. Does he get a call for a factory ride at the end of this year?
I mean, that's what everyone throws out, but you also have to keep in mind, like these guys, they have teams, they have sponsors, they sign contracts. We've always thrown that out there, like PC. Why doesn't Yoder take a shot? But it just seems like these guys just don't really jump unless they're like true hardcore privateers. Getting that opportunity. But no, just I think you're right. I mean, we're going to see the East Coast boys this weekend. We don't know what they're going to look like. But yeah, I think the East-West shootouts are going to play a huge factor in these championships, which they usually do. Um, but let's jump over into 450 main event three. I lied. I thought the fastest lap time never won all night. Tomac did have the fastest lap time in race three. He got the start. He checked out. I know I made
Gone.
the comment. We see this. We see this with these triple crowns too. Is that Chase Sexton going there and knew he only had to beat Ken Roxon. What's the point of pushing the limit, trying to chase down Tomac when it didn't make a difference as far as the overall, Justin?
Yeah, I think you got to think definitely that's in Sexton's mind. He definitely settled. Excuse me. He definitely settled a little bit. But I think Tomac came out with that third race like I gotta prove I can still do this. I think he kind of was like, I gotta go. I gotta get out
Hmm.
and dip. Obviously, the big news we've heard, that big part about Moto 3 or whatever you want to call it, Jett pulling off. I mean, what a shocker. When everyone was coming around, I remember looking at CJ like, where's Jett? Where's Jett? We could not see Jett at all. We didn't even notice it happen because obviously we're watching right there. I mean, you couldn't see anyone coming along off the track. And then you could see Jett, and you could see Jett holding his knee up off the foot peg and him with his head down. And I told CJ, I think that's an ACL. It just the way that look was, it just seemed like he knew instantly. That's definitely the biggest story out of that third race for 450 class. Tomac won, Sexton second. He settled. It was impressive. Webb finished out in order to get on the podium, get on the box. That's huge for Webb. I think Webb's confidence now going East Coast. Webb's always been an East Coast guy when the track gets gnarly, rutted. Webb's very great at finding those lines. He's very good at the bottom of bull turns. Getting through those corners very quick. So now, I mean, it's going to be real interesting to see how Webb does East Coast. I think that's going to be a huge thing. Roxon settled. There wasn't really much that really was overshadowed that Moto 3 except
I mean,
Jett's injury.
Roxon didn't settle though. He had
No,
to make his way up. He
he passed Hunter
stole
on the last lap.
Tomac's. Yeah, he stole Tomac's
Oh
podium.
yeah, I
He
did.
had
I
to
did see
hustle
that.
a little
Yeah, I
bit.
did see that. I forgot about
So
that. I did forget
yeah,
about
he ended
that.
up
Yeah.
bumping Tomac off, and you know what? To me, like I've talked about this. This is we're four races in. Tomac's been off the podium three out of the four races. Jett being gone, that's going to shake things up quite a bit, but. Yeah, to me, I mean, it seemed like Tomac got that third race, got things figured out. To me, it's hard to judge a lot of off of those third races because you just don't know with a lot of the stuff being wrapped up. CJ, but we're heading into going into Tampa Bay, this weekend. But where are you at as far as Tomac's? Sorry, when he's on it, he looks absolutely incredible. But when you look at the stats, and RC said that he thinks this is maybe the best Tomac he's seen. But then you look at your stats, you're like. Wait, what? Like
Yeah,
he has one race win and he's been off the podium every other race?
yeah, I mean, he's too good for this. I think he's finished completely opposite. I think what I just said about Deegan riding as shitty as he was and finishing the best he has, I think it's a complete opposite for Tomac. I think Tomac's riding and what you're seeing in the results are two completely different things. I think his riding is insane compared to where his finishing positions have been. He's got to finish. He's got to figure those starts out. You can't start that far back, but he's too good for it to be consistent. I mean, it's not going to continue. He's going to figure it out. He's way too good. He's a seasoned champion. To me, he ran Sexton down, jumped over the finish line over the 82-foot triple, and put it to him and fucking ran away. I don't think Sexton bowed down and let him go. He he caught Sexton, passed Sexton, and checked out, and he looked like he was on a different racetrack than the rest of these guys. He looked unreal. He was coming through the sand. He was scrubbing over quads. That flat corner before the finish line, there was nothing there. It was like powder, and he had the bars dragging just wide open. I mean, he looked insane. I think, and then obviously the elephant in the room is Jett pulling off the track, and
Hmm.
just just a couple hours ago we found out that it ended up being a torn ACL and that he's done for the season, to me, that's a bad sign for anybody that doesn't have the last name of Tomac, because that guy's already confident and now he knows that the one kid that he's worried about is gone. I think it's bad news for the rest of these boys. I think he's like 9 or 10 points back or something right now. That is
Yep.
nothing. Hey, we got 12 or 13 more races left. That's fucking nothing. And um, I I'm excited for what's to come from Tomac. Not to take anything away from Sexton, but Tomac was faster than Sexton every single time they got on the track this weekend, and it was pretty clear he caught up from him from a bad start. He passed him when he needed to pass him to win the moto. And I don't know. Sexton needs to find some speed, because I don't think Sexton is as big as a factor as I think he's the same factor as Roxton or Cooper Webb. Personally, I think that all three of
Mhm.
them,
Mm-hmm.
I think all three of
I
them are
agree.
the same.
I agree.
No, I don't think, not as far as going deep into the season. Roxon's not going to have the stamina. Sexton is faster than Webb. Like, yeah, we saw Webb with a glimpse of speed, just recently, but to me, I think it's Sexton and Tomac. Sexton surprisingly has made the least mistakes out of the two of them.
Hmm.
Maybe he hit the deck that one time. I mean, Sexton has 2 wins on the season too. I think it's definitely going to be interesting. To be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if we see Sexton kind of take off like we saw in outdoors. As soon as Jett was done in outdoors, Sexton just started taking off, and he just got this
Yeah, but he
confidence.
wasn't
There,
racing
there is
Tomac.
a
Yeah, with no
there
Tomac.
is a there is a Jett factor that when he's not there, everyone's confidence is going to get higher because they all know
Yeah,
he's the best guy, and now he's out, and super unfortunate. It was a great season in the making, especially if Tomac retires after this. We got robbed of it again. I mean, Jett should have listened to Rhino and run those knee braces. Apparently that's the
apparently
new
he switched it
storyline.
up.
Yeah, I switched it up right away when the
I'm
best
just
guy gets
waiting for
hurt.
the neck brace video to come out here, and any day now. But yeah, I mean, really huge bummer there. He's going to be out, 4 months. We'll see if he makes it for outdoors. But yeah, I mean, it sucks. Looking at the title chase, Sexton 84, Roxon 82, and then you have Tomac at 75, Cooper Webb at 74, and then Lawrence at 71. So this is very much, a four-man race. I think it's going to be very similar to the 250s. I think these guys are going to swap wins for the rest of the season. I don't think anyone's going to necessarily go out there and rack up, 5 or 6 wins. I think it's going to be kind of a combination. And it's really going to come down to, who's got their starts dialed and who's going to make the least amount of mistakes so that they're fresh all year long, Justin.
I think Webb's a bigger title threat than Sexton is. I think I think Webb is Tomai's biggest enemy just because we're going east. I mean, we've already done enough West Coast rounds. I think East Coast is where Sexton has more of his problems, more of his funky crashes because it's a deeper track. Sexton's gonna get over his head, maybe he gets pumped up or something. But I just think Webb is just slowly going to get better and better and better throughout the year. It's year two back on the Yamaha. It obviously shows he's a lot more comfortable. I think CJ pulled out a stat, last week or the week before. Webb's having one of the best starts to his, of his career for a season, and I think this is going to be a star Yamaha battle for the title. And I think we're in for a really good race because we know our really good season. We know Webb and Tomac A2. They were dicing it up a little bit. They were
Oh
throwing it
yeah.
at each other. They were running a little high, and it almost makes me think maybe they know that like them two. They know it's gonna be between. I mean now between them. I mean Jet's out. Just the pace for getting 72 thrown out the window. Another year, hurt. I mean, 72, he's got what? Only one win this year, so that's not going to help his average he needs and to stay healthy. I mean, he's gotten hurt 2 years in a row now. So I think it's going to be a Tomac Webb battle to the end for the title.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's unfortunate. Obviously, like it sucks. No, all of us as fans want to see like greatness and what Jet's doing and what he's done as a rookie and the skill that he has on a bike as a fan, everybody wants to see it, and the dude's a legend in the making. So it's tough to see someone at, I think he's like 22, 23 years old, to have an issue like that and pull off the track, kind of a non-contact. I mean,
Freak
he dabbed,
accident, yeah.
Yeah, he
yeah,
just dabbled
dabbed
his knee or
dabbed
foot.
his foot, and we've seen it with Villapoto. We've seen it with a lot of guys in the past, and I think everybody there when they saw it was thinking the same thing, like, oh fuck, that's his knee. And it's just it sucks to see. And like Eric said, it's you kind of feel like you're getting robbed of something that we could have seen with watching Tomac ride the way that he's riding. So that sucks. I mean, I hope nothing but the best for his recovery, and I hope that he's able to make outdoors, and we get to see him and Tomac and Sexton go to war, and everything goes smoothly, and he doesn't have any issues. Like it sucks, but with that being said, I'm on a different path with Tomac. I think we see him win 6, 7, 8 mains, and I think that he, by the time we get to Salt Lake, has a 20-point lead. He's going to be. I don't think that. I think that he's on a different level. He's coming through the pack. He's got to figure his starts out. I do give you guys that, and I'm not taking anything away from Sexton. I just don't think Sexton has the speed to compete with beast mode Tomac. And I mean, I think we've seen perfection out of Sexton these first 4 rounds, and I just don't. I don't know. History repeats itself. He's gonna hit the deck, and he's gonna have his issues too. And I think as a betting man, the guy who has figured it out time and time again and puts in the work, and to me, he's the fastest guy on the track. I all my eggs are in one basket, and I think Tomac is. I think it's his title to lose now.
I
Nine
can
points
Yeah.
is
definitely,
nothing.
I can
I mean,
definitely see that. Yeah, I can see Tomac running away, getting a runaway streak of a couple wins in a row and stacking that. I think Webb and Tomac are going to trade wins just down the line, just with the way the tracks get very rough. But yeah, Tomac definitely has got to be the favorite no matter what to
I don't think you
win
guys
this
are giving
title.
Sexton any
He just
credit.
doesn't have he don't have he just does not look like he
But
has
it
that
doesn't
raw
seem like
speed
he
like he did on that
needs it
Honda.
though. But look what happened on the Honda. He kept eating the deck. So if anything, Sexton, if he can get this figured out and be consistent, and still he's shown that he has speed. He's been, fastest lap time, and we've already seen three weirdo rides from Tomac, and history tells us he's going to have a couple more. I think it's just going to come down to, the changing of Chase Sexton. Are we seeing a more mature Chase Sexton that is not going to be throwing away these races, or he just going to be like you guys said, a dungy to where he's not going to. Maybe he's not going to have that crazy speed that we saw in 2023 or what we see Tomac just fucking absolutely rip, but is he just going to be the guy that's just always there? And same thing with Cooper Webb. Yeah, Webb's going to have some good races, but at the same time, he's going to have some fifth and sixth is too, because I just don't think he has the speed to keep up with Tomac and Sexton or even, Roxon a majority of the time. Yeah, he's going to be sneaky there at the end, but I just don't think you guys are giving Sexton enough credit. I know he has that background, but I don't know. We're 4 races in. He has two wins. He has, a good points league over Tomac, and who knows? I mean, he looked great on this KTM outdoors. When it got rough and choppy. So maybe they figure some out. But I mean, it makes things a lot more interesting now. I mean, I would say more interesting, but it is interesting now, right? The title is definitely up for grabs now. Um, but before we close out Glendale, big shout out Justin Hill finished with a sixth overall.
Hell
Hell of a
yeah, dude.
night.
Impressive. Impressive.
He looked good all night too. He looked like
Yeah.
he should be up there.
No,
I
he looked
think
awesome.
Justin Hill's got to figure out what he wants to do. Does he want to keep racing? Does he want to go back to being a sheriff? Like, Justin Hill won a Supercross title. Mitch didn't re-sign him. Mitch kind of kicked him to the curb. He had to go ride a Suzuki 250, which really wasn't ready for JGR. He kind of had some down years. I think that kind of played into him, I don't know if I really want to race. It kind of pushed him. I think he got a BTO KTM ride, and then they folded, halfway through. Um, but I mean, I think Justin Hill, if he sticks to it, I mean, I think he could be a consistent top five guy if he gets on a factory bike that, with a solid program and he's really committed to it. I think Justin Hill could easily be a top five guy every week. I mean, he's got the skill level. I think he just needs that consistent work, build that base, and he needs to decide what he wants to do. Is he going to race full time? Does he want to go be a sheriff for 1 year? What does he want to do? But I mean, it's cool to see when the Hills are in the sport. Josh Hill won a main. It'd be cool to see Justin to win a main. Be the first brothers to win a 450 main event would be really sick to see.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Huge props to him. The biggest thing with him is we gotta see it consistent, right? I know
Hmm.
last week at 82, I think he had like a 12th, right? It's like you can't be
Yeah,
having those. Like,
rain
let's see
race. You
these good.
never
Let's see
know.
the consistent going. Um, to me, it's crazy. Jet still finishes with an 8 overall with a 2:2:21. He beat AP, he beat Malcolm, he beat Ferrandis, he beat Barsha, he beat Cooper by basically missing an entire race. I
Hmm.
mean, to me, those guys I named, like, they got to figure
See,
out something. Justin Cooper with a 13th was 13, 13, 10. Ugly night. Barsha 12, 12, 6.
is that just due
Yeah,
to
I
the
mean,
field being
these
so
these guys
stacked, though?
are. I mean, yeah, who knows? It could be, but I mean, you got Shane McElrath right behind him going 14, 15,
Well, no,
13.
I'm not. I'm not talking about Justin Cooper. I'm just talking about Jet still getting like a top 10, even though missing like the field's so stacked. Like if you just said Cooper was 13th or and then finished 10th
Justin
last
Cooper,
moto,
yeah.
like so yeah, Jet's out of there. So of course throw another position in there. But the field's so stacked that I mean, no matter what, you have to be up front with this field. It's just way too stacked to be buried.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, boys, as far as Glendale, anything else? I mean, I think we touched on really just about everything.
Yeah, I think for me it was cool to see Kenny show some grit. He's always worrisome to see what happens as the season progresses, and it was cool to see him. Uh, he said he saw on his pit board that he had to get around Hunter. And he put it down and he got around Hunter there. I think the second to last lap. Everybody that bet rocks in to podium, he was
That's
able to
me.
clinch that.
Let's
All of
go,
us
Yeah.
baby.
put some money on rocks in the podium, and hey, he got it done. He could have easily just rolled over him and like, hey, I won a moto, I'll take fourth, we're fine. I can't catch Hunter, but he showed some grit, and I thought that was badass. Hats off to him. But yeah, sucks to see Jet, and I think it's going to be an exciting season. I think, like you said, I think it's up for grabs. A lot of these guys have a lot of confidence, and it's we're about to see a show go off. I think.
Yeah, I think with you bringing up the betting part, we got really screwed by Anderson this week on our picks for our bets. They only had three props this week because it was a triple crown. I think a lot of us took Tomac over Jet in the triple crown for that parlay. We took Jet Anderson over Hunter, and then we took Sexton over Webb. And Anderson, I mean, he cooked us. I mean, a lot of us had money. A
You
lot
guys
of us
got
had
fried.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah, Team Fried got high as shit and fucked us over.
that first
But
moto getting an 11th. I don't know. I mean, it'd be interesting to see to go back and see if he posts anything. Like, did he have a flat tire or something? Like, how the hell did he get an 11th and then come out there and run up front? I don't know. It was weird. It'd be interesting to see what happened to him in that first moto because I don't remember anything. But I mean, it doesn't sound like him to get 11th.
yeah,
Yeah, he
it
went
was a
11,
weird it was a
6,
weirdo
8.
ride. Yeah, it was a weirdo ride, and Hunter got a good start that first moto, and then he got his doors blown off by pretty much everyone. But getting the top five start, I think he had five positions over Jason in that first moto, so that kind of plays in your favor throughout the three. But once again, Team USA bet for us, won again, put a 1776 on it again. America. It hit. Then I was drunk, sitting in the stands like 2 minutes before the race was about to start. I threw another 25 on it because I just had to after the national anthem. It was like, hell yeah, Team USA, let's go. And I mean, I was hoping Tomac won, but I guess Sexton came through and clinched it for us. But I'll take it. I had a free bet, like $27 bet. I threw a Roxon in the beginning of the week, paid out $54 at plus 200. So that was nice. I know our buddy Jordan. He threw $30 on Sexton to get a podium at I believe plus 125. So he made some money right there. I think Tomac hooked a lot of us though for the overall win, which sucks, but at least everything else kind of cashed to kind of recuperate a little bit of the losses. But great time. One complaint about Glendale, $17 for a goddamn beer. Holy shit, dude. I woke up Sunday morning, checked my bank account, and I was like, God damn it, dude. I think I was like $250 deep just on alcohol. I was
Yeah,
like, fuck.
they're 12 ounce, they're 24-ounce cans, but I swear they're only 6 ounces because you
Yeah,
just pound those things.
Dude, I was
yeah.
pounding. Hey, I was in between every main. I was pretty much running up to get beers. I'm like, and what's sad is I drank all that. My girlfriend's pregnant, so it's not like she could drink. I'm the one drinking it all. And we left the last main like a minute left, so we could get of all the people, traffic getting out. And when we tailgated for like an extra hour or whatever after the race, so it was fun.
All right, well now we make the switch over to East out to Tampa. I mean, we can talk, the title favorites. I have Faulkner, Kitchen, RJ, Vial. See, is there anyone that I'm missing? Is there anyone that stands out more out of that group of four?
I mean, to me, it's Faulkner. I think Faulkner's the fastest one. It's just, what Faulkner do you get? You get Faulkner that explodes like he does every other year. Is there something different? I mean, is Jordan Smith kind of giving us some insight to that triumph? Is if Faulkner can keep it on two wheels, I think he's the man to beat. To me, it's Faulkner's title to lose. If you're, I mean, yeah, Vial's good. RJ Hampshire's good. Levi Kitchen's good. I think raw speed. I think fastest qualifier this weekend is Austin Faulkner, and I think that I don't know. I'm hoping. I think it's more of a hopeful bet than me thinking that he's going to win the title. But I think as a hopeful for Austin Faulkner, soon to be daddy, I don't know.
Hey,
I would love to see him. I would love to
me
see
and
him get
him
a
both.
title. I would love to see Triumph get a title. I would love to see Triumph on the top of the box. I would love to see Faulkner have some success and not fucking underneath of in an OR room again. So I'm hoping for Faulkner.
For your
He
title
is
pick, you're going
wearing that
Faulkner?
new he is wearing that
Faulkner? Title
the
pick?
Alpine Star safety vest thing, the airbag thing. So
Yeah.
maybe that's gonna
Hey,
be the difference.
he needs it.
Yeah. But Justin, I mean, talk about a kick in the nuts if Faulkner goes out and wins a title on a triumph when PC has just been struggling if he goes out and do. I mean, I can say this, to be honest, a lot of this kind of shapes up like the 450. I think you have Faulkner and Kitchen are kind of like the going to be the fastest ones out there, kind of similar to like a Sexton and a Tomac. And I think Vial and RJ kind of remind me of like Webb and Roxon. They're going to be there. They're going to put up some fights. They're going to win. But what about you? Are these the four favorites? Is anyone missing, or is anyone going to stand out above the rest?
I think BL and Hampshire's titles last year I don't want to say gifted, but I just don't think VL Deegan had a lot of mistakes. Deegan should have won it last year. I mean, I guess we could say the same thing about this year. Deegan should have won. I mean, title favorite. VL, it's going to be interesting to see what he does do another year of Supercross under his belt. See if he takes that another step. See if he does like Muscan did, take that another step. Moving on up with him not racing a lot of Supercross. So that's going to be interesting. Hampshire, I think Hampshire is going to struggle to get top threes every week. I don't even know if he's going to be able to get them
Hmm.
every week. I think Faulkner's the title favorite. I think Faulkner coming, if he would have raced West Coast, would have been even the title favorite coming West Coast. Um,
Mm.
but him going East Coast, I think Faulkner, he's got a little bit more drive. He's got a little bit more prep time because he was ready to go for A1. He had to sit back a little bit. I think he's got a little bit more motivation. Now, like CJ said, he's going to be a dad. So maybe he kind of has that, oh, I'm not going to push too far. I'm going to kind of stay on my limits, still have that speed, but not override to where he does make that one mistake. Maybe
Hey,
that
he got
airbag.
LASIK too.
Hey, there you go. Don't need
Yeah.
no more contacts falling out of his eye, so he's landing on his back, dead on the side of the concrete of the stadium. So it would be cool to see Faulkner win. I'd love to see Faulkner win. He was supposed to be that prodigy, to win everything. Sadly, he was cursed by PC. Shout out to Drew Adams. Hope he recovers well. PC curse got up and bit him again. PC Mitch is probably drinking bottle after bottle after every race, just trying to survive. Um, I think possibly Pierce Brown may be a surprise this goes. Him going to Star, him being under that program. I think Pierce
Okay, but
Brown
we're
has
gonna
a
get
chance.
right to the what is surprise to you, all right? Because you can't say surprise Davies he starts winning. So you say Pierce Brown he's gonna be a surprise. What does that mean? Is he gonna be winning main events? Is he gonna be just podiums?
I think Pierce Brown gets at least 2 wins and he's a consistent podium guy. I think that's
Okay,
what Pierce Brown's ceiling
but
is this
not a
season.
title contender.
I think he's just below that. I mean,
Okay.
I think Forkner and Kitchen, like CJ said, I think those are the two title favorites. Them being forced east kind of sucks by both their teams, but I think those two are the title favorites. I'm gonna pick Forkner. I think Forkner leaving PC, switching it up. I think that's what he's needed to do years ago, and he never did. So I think this is Forkner's year. I hope he does it. It'd be cool to see. His wife's banging hot, so it'd be cool to see her up on the podium with him, see some nice old
I
titties.
don't
But
think she's gonna
uh,
be.
hey, she's probably got some big old biddies being pregnant, dog. Who cares? But I just think Forkner. I'm taking Forkner. I think Forkner also wins Tampa. I think Forkner comes out swinging. I mean, he's always been good at first rounds. He was supposed to that one year him and Jett were battling. He was chasing Jett down. Jett crossed up on him. Made that mistake. It took him out and ruined that year. He was winning last year until he had contact fall out and he freaking ended up dead on the side of the concrete of the stadium. I think this is Forkner's title. I mean, this is the year.
I mean, I think Smith, how well he's been doing on Triumph, getting the win. I think if anything, that just gives
Boost the
Forkner,
confidence.
even more hype and confidence going into it. That that bike has proven that hey, you can win on it. Jordan Smith can do it, and Forkner definitely can as well. All right. I know we looked at bets haven't been rolled out probably due to the Jet
Let me look.
injury.
Let me look real quick. Maybe they've
But
updated.
while you're looking that up, let's take a look. The Tampa track map. One thing that I love about Tampa is that they always have that long sandy rhythm section that is always a factor, CJ. Hopefully the rain holds off, but what do you think as far as the Tampa track map?
Trying to pull it up here real quick. I do typically like Tampa. I think it sets up a little bit better to the more outdoorsy gnarly guys.
Yeah.
I don't know, is there rain forecasted? I know Florida is typical, but
Oh yeah.
Let me
yeah, I
look.
don't
Let me
know.
look real quick.
But yeah, I mean, I'm excited. I think I hope that they take some stuff away from Glendale. I kind of haven't been stoked with the tracks this year, and I thought that Glendale was a really well thought out track that came together. Not that they need to build that track everywhere, but I think that it was nice to see it all come together. And honestly, I liked those singles that dropped you from the sixth story. I thought it was cool.
Hmm.
It made for some fun racing. It kind of
Slows
got
it down.
everybody to catch back up. Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought it was kind of cool, but yeah, I don't know. I think Tampa will be exciting. It'll be gnarly. I think that we see some reinvigorated Sexton and Tomac, and yeah, I don't know. I think unfortunately I'm not a superstitious person at all. I'm anti superstition, if you will, but I don't know. At this point, I almost think that Mitch has like a fucking kill switch that he's hitting on these bikes or something, dude. Because I mean, if I was a betting man, just statistically, I'm putting money on Levi fucking crashing out of the series because it's insane. I mean, it is at this point, it's not even a superstition. I mean, it's a stat that if you get on a PC bike, your season is over.
Is it
It's like a
Kitchen or
guy's
McAdoo?
insurance
Is it Kitchen or
policies
McAdoo?
against.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
he's cashing out on these insurance policies or something.
Yeah.
It's like,
Do
hey,
you
put
think it's
some
Kitchen or
sweet and low in
McAdoo?
there. Oh, I
Yeah.
forgot about McAdoo. Yeah,
You got McAdoo, Kitchen, and Hammaker for PC.
yeah, I
They're
think
all
Hammaker
gonna
is
hit the
second.
deck eventually.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
Hammaker is second tier. I don't think Hamburger. I mean,
Yeah.
I think if he survives long enough to see the podium, I'd be surprised. And McAdoo has speed, but I mean, like Eric said, I mean, we've all seen the clips of that fucking ragdoll. I mean, if he, I don't know, dude, that dude's gonna end up in a wheelchair one of these days because he is crazy. I love McAdoo. I think he's badass. I love his story, and I think that he's ripper. But man, that guy has some violent
Dude, I
crashes.
think this East Coast, dude, is a Molotov cocktail, dude, because it's so packed. All these guys are gonna have to send it, and all these guys are freaking crash prone.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
100%.
think we're gonna see you guys hit the deck all over the place because they're all gonna be pushing because it is so stacked. And
yeah. I think after
yeah,
Tampa,
I
we
think
could be like,
it's
yeah, I
gonna be
think
like
we
the
could be
West
like,
Coast.
yeah, we could after Tampa, we might be down like three of these contenders.
Yeah.
For real. I mean, that's what I'm just thinking, like, oh my gosh, like, dude, this is a ticking time bomb with all these guys. Every single one of them is just gonna send it, and it's going to get really, really squirrely. But another thing about that Tampa track layout, it is a right hand turn. I think that's the first right hand turn we've had this year.
Yep.
So that would be interesting. Already talked about the long sand rhythm section.
There's
That's going
two
to
stand
be, that's
sections.
always cool. Yeah, there's a sand, the turn as well. But
Yep.
that long rhythm always plays a factor. It always, ends up biting someone, some big name always ends up going down there. But before we get into our picks, Justin, did you find anything as far as those bets? If
So
not, what do you think of the track layout?
I just found they did release it's only I believe championship odds. And
Okay.
yeah, it's only championship odds. So Sexton, some reason, Sexton is now the favorite at plus 150.
He
Tomac's
has a
been the
9 point
favorite.
lead.
But
Yeah, he has a 9 point lead.
Tomac's been the second favorite all year, no matter where the standings have been. Tomac's been the second favorite. So now Jett's gone. They moved Sexton to plus 150, and Tomac's sitting at plus 250. I just put $50 on Tomac right now. I'm like, run me my money, dude.
Yeah, that's a good
I
bet.
think I think you got to hammer Tomac right now. Plus 250. How do you not bet on him to win? Um, I just don't think Sexton's gonna finish it out. So I think you got to hammer Tomac. There's no
Yeah,
other
no, I
bets
think the
for.
money's definitely there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I
don't.
mean, yeah, I agree. I think that, I mean, it's obvious Sexton's the favorite. He's got a 9 point lead. I'm not, that's
Yeah.
not surprising to me at all. I think that the reason we're seeing that is because of Sexton won and Tomac got fourth, and he
Hmm.
extended his leads, and that's kind of why I think that we could definitely see that close up. I'll be interested to see what the matchups are. I think they're getting better at their matchups too. Like they're at the
Yeah,
beginning of the year, it was like, yeah, at the beginning of the year, it's like, oh yeah, we're gonna put Jett versus fucking some dude in the privateer pit, and
Kevin
then
Moran's.
yeah, now it seems like they're getting a little more tactical on
Yeah.
these picks. So,
Yeah, because they lost their
we
money.
yeah. So
All right, Justin, let's wrap this up. Longer show than usual, already at the 2 hour mark. Let's go
Damn.
Tampa winner picks. Who you got?
I got Forkner. I Forkner comes out hot, ready almost every single year. I think he has a pretty good. I'd have to check, but I think he has a really good probability of winning his first races of the series. I think always Forkner's always showed he's quick at the beginning of the year. He just can never make it through a championship. So I think Forkner definitely is the pick to win this week, especially with him being ready for 8-1. And for some reason they moved him east. They should have moved like Styles Robinson east or like Smith east or something. Because I think if maybe Forkner was racing West Coast, he may have that points lead by like 10 points right now. So I'm taking Forkner for my Tampa pick and my title pick.
And who do you got for 450 winner?
I think Tomac. I'm gonna stick with my boy Tomac.
All right, CJ, how about you? Tampa winners. Who you got?
yeah, I mean, basically echo what Justin said. I mean, Forkner. I think Forker's the man to beat. If he loses, I think it's because he hits the deck. And then I don't know. I think it'll be good racing. Behind him, I don't know. My wild card is I don't think we see Vial on the podium.
I could see that. I
Okay.
could very well see that. I agree with that. I almost think it's gonna be Forkner, McAdoo, Pierce Brown as like the top three.
All right. I'm gonna go with as far as and CJ, you're sticking with Tomac for 450s.
Yeah, yeah. I think
Okay.
Tomac brings home another win.
All right. I'm actually gonna go with I think Kitchen is gonna get the win. I think those long legs are gonna help in that nasty sand. And as far as 450, give me Cooper Webb. I think Webb's going to bring that fire. This track usually gets rutted, pretty technical with this sand. I think he's just going to be able to kind of ring these guys in and just kind of put in these solid laps and start cutting down these corners and really take off with it. But all right, boys, that's it for our Glendale
Hey,
Supercross wrap up.
what's your
Yeah.
title pick, Eric, for East Coast?
Um, East Coast, I think I would have to lean Faulkner. I don't think Kitchen's going to be very good. Something just tells me that I just think he's going to be kind of flat. Especially with this group, he's been known that he's very start dependent, and his starts aren't always great. So I think I'm going to have to lead with Faulkner. I'm just going to go with the fastest guy out there, and we'll see what happens. Hope that Triumph keeps him on two wheels a little bit more.
Hey, are we missing anyone? I've gotten written down for 250 East, like kind of some guys. I got Kitchen, Vial, Hampshire, Faulkner, McAdoo, Anstey, first year on the star, full year.
Mhm.
Brown and Bennick. I don't really know who else is really racing. I can't really think because there's no there's no Husky East Coast.
I mean, I think, oh yeah, Cochran might be showing up late, but I don't know. I think those
Oh
guys are
yeah,
just going to
forgot
be
about.
battling
I think that's
for
it.
fifth,
Yeah.
sixth, seventh place.
Well, I'm just
Pierce
saying those
Brown
are like the
might
only guys I
surprise
can think
us.
of.
Yeah, but no, there's definitely a lot of good riders. There's a couple of Club MX guys. Mosman's going to be out there too. Not Mosman. Max Volan. He's going to be out there too.
Oh, speaking of that,
Uh,
how do you think he does with the handbrake? Because he's still
We'll
running
see.
a
I don't know if he's
handbrake.
still running it. Actually, I haven't really seen. They kind of stopped all the Club MX YouTube is all based off of the races now, so you
West
haven't
Coast,
seen them at
yeah.
all. But who knows?
I,
I don't know if
I'm
he's
sure
still
he's
running it
still
or not.
I'm sure he still is if he's been practicing with it all off season. It'd just be so trippy to
Yeah,
have.
yeah.
I
Who
think
knows? I
I think
mean, the
we see
right hand
him.
turn is going to help him if he still has it.
Yeah, I think we see him fall off. I mean, I think he turns into a fifth to
Jet
seventh
Reynolds.
place guy. Yeah, maybe not Jet Reynolds, but maybe more like Ryder D and those. I don't think he's going to be competing for wins unless everybody piles up and he pulls a whole shot.
Yep, no, absolutely. Well, all right, guys, super excited for the East Coast to just kick off this weekend. Of course, we also got the 450 shakeup without Jett, but great weekend of racing. Looking forward to this next weekend. But thanks for everyone. Follow us on Instagram, Spotify. But we'll talk to you next week. See you later.
Hell yeah. See you guys later, boys.